Before we begin with our tonight's agenda, we have a few things to go over. I just want to give everybody a couple of the general guidelines about how this meeting is going to work. Welcome. We're all glad that you're here. Tonight's a wonderful night. We get to have a big celebration to kick off this meeting. It's one of my favorites of the year. We do want to make sure everybody is aware, and you can probably tell with all the cameras, that this meeting is being video recorded with sound for public broadcast, as well as being live streamed via Zoom webinar. So everything in this room is recorded. It can be recorded from the school district or anybody else in this room. The board believes it's in the best interest of the school district and the best interest of the students of the district to hear comments from the taxpayers of this district and the community members. So during the meeting, you will have a period of time called audience recognition. There's actually two different periods of time of audience recognition in our board meetings, our business board meetings. The first period of time are for agenda items. So that will come later in the meeting, and anything that's on the agenda, that's when you can bring that up. If you're physically in the room, please make sure you sign up for your chance to be able to come up and have 3 minutes of your time to share your comments and your perspectives on an agenda item. Can please raise your hand where the sign-up sheet is in the room?
It's over here.
It's over there. Thank you, Ms. Laver. Right there, right there. So if you'd like to sign up. You do not have to sign in on that sheet. It is just if you would like to make a public comment later. When you do make a public comment, please just let us know your full name and generally where in the district you reside. For those of us joining us on Zoom, the chat feature will open and you'll be able to do the same thing on Zoom for 3 minutes. There is then, after we do the official vote for the business meeting, there will be a non-agenda items time as well. So if there's something that is not on the agenda that you'd like to bring up, that's your perfect time to do so. All participating in tonight's meeting, it's going to be a lovely meeting. We'll go through a lot of things, but again, as I shared already, this is the best way to start a meeting with some great recognition. So for that, I'm going to turn it over to our superintendent. Could everybody please welcome Dr. Rinelli.
Yeah. Go far.
A little bit of joy.
Yeah. Thank you. Before I get started on the information that I have, I'd like to bring up Cami Pulsifer to give an update on the ISC.
Thank you, Dr. Rinelli, and good evening to everyone. My name is Cami Pulsifer, and together with Robin Gowrie, I have the pleasure of serving as this year's Interschool Council co-president. The ISC is the umbrella organization for our district's 11 school HSAs. We'd like to invite you to 2 upcoming events. On Tuesday, May 26th, we'll be hosting our monthly roundtable meeting. Our guest, Superintendent Dr. Rinelli, will be there presenting the strategic plan. This meeting will take place in the district administration building as well as on Zoom. And if you're joining us in person, please feel free to arrive at 9:15 for coffee and donuts, and the program will begin at 9:30. Also on the evening of Tuesday, May 25th, we will be hosting our next event in Parent Education Series, which is prepping for the transition to middle school, where we're going to be featuring a panel of current 5th grade parents from all 3 middle schools to give unofficial tips and advice to incoming middle school parents. This event begins at 7 p.m. and will be held exclusively on Zoom. On June 5th, we were pleased to welcome and honor administrators and HSA partners from across our district at our annual Administration Appreciation Luncheon. It was at this lunch we were delighted to recognize our partners in administration with gratitude, and also to announce the winners of this year's You Matter Award. This is the 2nd year we have held our You Matter Awards, honoring 1 teacher or staff member from each of our 11 schools. ISC board members Stephanie Tomei and Becca Block led this effort with support from the HSAs, and together they received and reviewed nearly 130 submissions from parents and students for teachers and staff who have made our students feel seen and heard. I'd like to take a moment to congratulate our winners. Happy to say they represent many roles in Lower Merion, from special education support to custodial staff to language teachers and classroom teachers, really showing how much of an impact all those who reach our children's lives can have. This year's winners include Bala Kinwood Middle School mathematics teacher Nicole Delamonica, kindergarten teacher Kirsten Lawson from Belmont Hills, Black Rock Middle School Spanish teacher Senora Grace Aragones, Head Custodian John McHugh from Kinwood, Head Custodian Dave Drummond from Gladwin, Latin teacher Magistra Veronica Cambria from Harriton, Lower Merion instructional aide Kirsten Lewis, second grade teacher Dean Della Bueno from Merion Elementary, Penn Valley special education teacher Christina Speaker, learning support teacher Lauren Seaman from Penn Wynne Elementary, and lastly, fifth grade teacher Brenda Pezic from Welsh Valley. These individuals represent the very best of our district across roles, schools, and disciplines, showing just how powerful one caring adult can be in a child's life. Thank you, and please join me in congratulating all of our winners.
Thank you, Ms. Pulsifer, and for the ISC taking time and resources to honor our people. Thank you very much. Some congratulations. Congratulations to 3 of our graduating seniors, Nick Mazzio, Alex Mazzio from Lower Merion, and Daphne Nevler from Harriton, each whom have won a National Merit Scholarship. Additional National Merit Scholarship winners will be announced in the coming weeks. Congratulations also to this year's recipients of scholarships from the Lower Merion Township Scholarship Fund. They will be honored at the annual awards ceremony Wednesday evening at the Merion Tribute House. As we head towards the end of the school year, many of our students' activities and athletics teams are wrapping up their seasons. Multiple accomplishments are listed on our website, including Harriton Science Olympiad team winning the state championship, Lower Merion Girls Ultimate Frisbee team finishing an impressive 3rd in the state, TSA team from both high schools and all 3 middle schools winning a total of 26 first place finishes at states, and Lower Merion's Best Buddies team winning the top fundraising award for Eastern Pennsylvania. I'm also pleased to share for the 16th consecutive year that our district has been named Best Community for Music Education by the NAMM Foundation. Anyone who has been lucky enough to attend one of the many spring concerts can attest to the great job our music teachers and musicians do. Congratulations. Now I'd like to bring up our president, Dr. Sautner, for a couple of seconds.
Okay. On behalf of my fellow board directors, it is my privilege to congratulate the dedicated members of our Lower Merion School District team who have served our students, they've served our families, they've served their colleagues and the community for over 25 years. It was the United States Secretary of Education under President Jimmy Carter. Her name is Shirley Hufstedler. She said, "The role of those who serve in education remains the highest calling of a free people." To you, the American people, and to us, the Lower Merion people, we entrust our most precious resource, our children, and we ask them to prepare them to face the rigors of individual participation in our democracy and our democratic society. These people have shown us 25 years of their lives taking care of our kids on the bus, in the classrooms, in the nurse's office, and every single day, behind the scenes, in front of the scenes, to ensure that the libraries are right, that the classrooms are set, that they're taken care of in every possible way. They've served my kids, their kids, and all of our kids and our families. Our 25-year honorees span multiple departments. Some of them, like I said, are seen every day. Some are behind the scenes. But we know what they do for us. They build community, they build care, and they build a stronger community together. So on the behalf of the Lower Merion Board of School Directors, I want to say a very heartfelt thank you to all of you for all that you do every single day about building a stronger community and building a stronger democracy for all of us. Thank you.
So I'm going to continue with that. Please join me in honoring tonight's newest inductees into our 25-year club. Let me begin by thanking each honoree for their hard work and dedication to the Lower Merion School District. You've been an integral part of this district, and your contributions over these years have been many. Tonight's honorees represent many aspects of what makes our district great, from our amazing teachers and secretarial support staff to our operations, transportation, and administrative staff. While some of you are unable to join us this evening, please allow me on behalf of your friends and colleagues to welcome you to this prestigious club. The following employees were unable to join us this evening: Elizabeth Akins, Catherine Beck, Mia Castro Argenio, Michelle Cuffey, Jennifer Eckert, Lisa Giadetti, Nicholas Haig, Scott Idle, Andrea Melkin, Laura Oakes, Timothy Ribnick, Janine Stahl, Lori Thomas, Marty Vorkheimer, and Sherry Zelke. Please give them a round of applause. And now, if you are with us this evening, please come to the podium when I call your name so that we can present you with your certificate and a token of our appreciation. Chris Buzza from Harriton High School. No, give it to Karen. Hold on. Turn around. Thank you. Andrew DiLardo, Operations. Turn around, take a picture. Jen Goldberg, the DAO. Andrea Indelicato. Linda Lachette from Black Rock Middle School. Real quick picture. Vivian Moy, also from Black Rock. Oh, make it. And last but not least, Clifford Wright from Transportation. And that concludes my report.
Congratulations. You guys are free to go. I'm sure you're ready to run out of here. All right, so this goes right about here. Thank you. Yep. Have a great night. Be careful going home.
One second with a brief intermission while I get back together. Okay, now we move on. Next on the agenda is the committee reports. So for our first committee report, our student representatives are not with us tonight. This is a very long table. I just want to confirm, is that true? Yes. Yes, they are not here. That's what I'm confirming, right? Correct. Okay. We will move, probably because they're both graduating. There we move forward. Okay, next we have May 11th is the curriculum meeting report. Shayna, would you like to give that report?
Absolutely. So we had, it's very echoey in this room, my apologies. So we had a bit of a jam-packed curriculum committee meeting. We had a big long list of contracts and purchases that were up, and also renewals. I will save us all the list because it is multitudinous, and so you can go ahead and read that in the agenda. Then we had, in the main part, we had 2 textbook presentations for adoption that were both incredibly thorough and answered a lot of really interesting questions as to how the books were selected and why staff and administrators felt that each choice was the appropriate one for the district to purchase for these going forward. Those two are Global Studies 1 and 2, which I believe will be for 9th and 10th grade, and the new science textbook, which will be adopted for grades 3 to 5 science. And that does bridge elementary and middle school because of the way Pennsylvania Steele's state standards for science include 5th grade in the elementary portion, so it uses the same textbook there. But all of those were recommended for adoption or for approval by the full board and are on the agenda for tonight. That was also our last curriculum committee meeting for this school year. So I hope you and all of my curriculum besties will have a fantastic summer, and we will see everybody back on September 14th, not in this room, but back in the DAO in the board meeting room at 6 o'clock on Monday, September 14th, 2026.
Thank you very much for a productive school season. And next we move on to the May 11th policy meeting report. Anna Chirac.
Thank you. First, I want to just congratulate our award winners again. When we talk about policy, it's really the folks that we celebrated tonight and our other staff members across the district that makes that a reality. So if we can just give them another round of applause. The policy committee that is made up of myself, Juanita, Jason, and Curry have been grateful and inspired by the outreach from our community members. And as we focus on crafting our new technology policy, people have really been phoning in, emailing, contacting, texting, running into the supermarket, all the places and spaces, and providing really concrete feedback that's very influential in helping us develop our new tech policy. I just want to name that we are all on the board up here, I speak for many of us, that we are all directionally aligned with the majority of things that are being shared by the community. And that's what we've been trying to communicate. As we know, and/or I will break down, is a first reading in a policy committee is a first draft. Think of the first draft you wrote of any essay ever in your life. It's really can be on the topics you want to hit, but also have a lot of work that you need to continue to do. And so what I want to share is just that it's really important as we continue to codify the policy that we are really careful of the amount of misinformation that is being spread, and that we have a real opportunity to craft a policy that aligns with the mission of our district. And these two things have to be reconciled if we're going to get to a productive place. And so what I wanted to just reiterate are the notes that were sent out to the entire district on May 1st of the things that the administration has already committed to considering for next year, many of which they are working on putting in place and articulated in that note that they will be figuring out in respect with the administrators, teachers, and other staff members of how to operationalize. So first, under consideration as the administration plans for next year is review the need to assign individual devices to elementary students, institute specific parameters for in-school device use by grade level bands, provide teacher in-class real-time control and oversight of student technology use, introduce an app to allow parents and guardians to monitor their students' use of district technology and device, provide a tool for parents and guardians to further restrict use of district technology resources and device functionality at home, strengthen web filters to further block inappropriate non-educational content, establish a reporting method for parents and guardians to share websites for filtering consideration, develop alternative instruction options for elementary students during emergency school closure days, and revise and restructure district policy and administrative regulations to enhance clarity and align with new expectations. So I thought it important just to articulate this. I know that everyone has received this email. If you have not and need more information, happy to be in touch, and it is posted on the website. we are continuing to draft the policy. The next time that we will have the next revised version is June 8th. And in the interim, I really encourage folks to email in, be in touch. And what I'll tell you that Jason and Juanita and Curry and I have found the most helpful is really concrete suggestions based on the policy that was presented at the first read of what folks would like to either be tightened or reframed and or that they don't see and or would want to see be more concrete. And so at the policy committee, if you were there, that's what we focused on the entire time pretty much. We quickly went through some finalizations of student rights and responsibilities and also attendance at school events and conflict of interest to move those policies for adoption. But the majority of our time was really spent on crafting and reviewing and receiving feedback on our new tech policy for next year. The last thing that I will mention is just to take the temperature down. I've continuously said that. It's a first read, it's a second read. There's time for iteration. So even after a second read, if we're not at a place that the board feels like and the policy committee feels that we can recommend to move forward for adoption by the board, then we take more time to do it, and that we have the precedent and many policies that we have done that with over the past 5 years since I've been on the board. So thank you again, and would love to hear from folks with those specific suggestions, feedback, and language to what has been provided. Thanks.
Excellent, thank you very much. Now we're moving on to the May 14th Facilities and Purchasing Report. Jason, you're gonna do that report, or Abby? Abby, thank you very much. Abby Lerner.
Can you hear me? Okay. We met on Zoom on May 14th at 9 a.m. The board members present included me, Jason Herman, Shayna Kalish, and Jen Rivera. Some of the highlights I want to mention first is on the list of bills, you'll notice that there's an addendum of legal fees broken down from our law firm. Thank you to our administration for providing that information. That's something that's been asked for a little while. There will be some district-wide safety and security updates in response to an audit that was done, and in accordance with the Pennsylvania Commission on Crime and Delinquency, those updates will be made throughout the summer. There were also contract renewals for other safety systems such as fire alarms, sprinkler systems, building automation systems, and a little board docs update for those who use board docs. There will be Denise Lapera, who is our board secretary, will be retiring, and we will be welcoming a new member later on in this meeting. And as a result, we are probably going to be shifting off of board docs, and where we land for that information to be determined, but just FYI. We also had presentations regarding capital projects and bus replacement plans, and they're linked in the in-board docs now and worth looking at. We have some big projects coming down the pike, roofs, and other such things that are quite expensive that will need some fine tuning in our budget. And the bus replacement plan is great. We have 135 buses. If the person who was just recognized is still here, thank you for being here for 25 years in the Department of in our transportation department. It's amazing. There's like NASA level work that goes on to ensure that our district is able to get our students to and from school. So thank you to them especially. Yeah, the next meeting will be June 11th at 9 a.m. On Zoom. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Last committee report is finance meeting report. Todd Rickey, Dr. Todd Rickey.
Yeah, thank you. We met on Friday for the final installment of the budgeting series. It was a very brief meeting because it was devoted to the capital fund, and it turns out there's not very much money in that fund, so there wasn't very much to talk about. The whole meeting took 13 minutes. There's about $3.5 million in that fund, the vast majority of which is allocated for buses, leaving only $800,000 in it at the moment. The plan over the next 2 years is to put $4 to $5 million a year into that plan, and to combine it with the anticipated revenues from the Oakwell sale of $12.9 million. The trouble is that's woefully insufficient to cover the very large roof projects, HVAC projects, outdoor construction projects, fields, lights, playgrounds. So it's going to take more than fine tweaking. It's going to take a paradigm shift to come up with money to cover those expenses. So stay tuned for that, and this will be revisited next fall and next winter.
Thank you. Okay, next on the agenda for the business board meeting is audience recognition. So at this time, we will hear public comment on the agenda items only. So that means the chat feature will open now, and please be sure that if you are in the chat to begin with your full name and where you reside within the district, just general neighborhood where you reside, in order for your comment to be shared. All comments at the mic and in the chat will be the length of 3 minutes in time, so it is not longer than that. If you are speaking from the podium, keep an eye on Ms. LaPere. She will give you the time signals to know, because it is hard to tell how long 3 minutes is when you get on the mic. If you not have already signed up and you would like to speak, or during the public comment decide you would like to speak, please sign up right over there towards the podium, and there's a sign-up sheet there as well. Ms. LaPere, do we have any in-person comments this evening? Okay, let's get started. Who is our first person to come up? Kids always go first, yes.
Well, if they wrote student next to them, because I'm not going to know that they're here, so let's see. All right,
Agenda
I do. I
item,
have
sorry,
some of them.
and we'll
I
just
do.
be really clear. Agenda
I do have
items
some,
first.
but if you didn't
kids
put
first.
student next to your name and you are a student, then please come forward.
Yeah.
First, we have Bella Hertz. No, this is non-agenda. This is not the right. This is not the right. Well, if it's a non-agenda item, do you want me to come and have?
If
them
it
come
is
in?
non-agenda item,
And it's a student?
Students first. Let's do students first. Can we please start with students first for agenda items?
Okay.
And then we'll do
that's-
students non-agenda items.
So these are all, yeah, so we're going to shut that come up, I guess. We have, I'm sorry about that, Rory Balkin and Millie Balkin.
It's intimidating. It's okay.
Thank you.
You got it. You got it. You all right? Got a hand? It's on. Take your time. You got it.
My name is Millie. I'm in first grade at Gladwin Elementary. We use tablets every day for math. It doesn't help other students learn that much on iPads. I don't get that they have games on iPads at school. When I learn about measuring, I use a cartoon ruler on my tablet. I wish I could measure real things in my classroom and outside with a ruler. And also, if you write, that makes your brain smarter.
Thank you very much.
My name is Anjali Girish. I'm a second grader at Kinwood Elementary. Screens can cause bad problems, and here's how I know. In library, we read a book called Popcorn and the Friend Machine. A hen named Popcorn is the kindest animal on the farm. One day she finds a phone and then isn't a good friend anymore. Then she invites strangers she made friends with over the phone to her house, but the strangers turned out to be wolves. My parents and teachers are trustable adults. A Chromebook is neither an adult nor trustable. I want trustable adults to correct my mistakes and help me learn, grow, and all that good and fun stuff. My teacher, Mrs. Shearer, is a good teacher. My Chromebook is not. Dreambox, RazKids, and Google Docs are not good teachers. Thank you for listening. Bye.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Rosie, and I'm a first grader student in this school district. When kids go on iPads, they do not get smarter. A lot of times my friends go on iPads in school just for the games. No, not for learning. If we just If we were just using paper, kids would not be doing this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Lillian Keshet, and I live in Gladwin, PA, and go to Gladwin Elementary School. I only skimmed the surface last time I spoke, so now I've got some more points. One is that the best thing to teach us is a teacher, not some terrible teaching app. Two is that we've all got great teachers. I got a really good one this year, Miss C. She does really cool stuff with us and even started book clubs. I really wish we could do more things like that, but the computers take up lots of time. I know we still need computers, but I think we need them much less than they're being used for. Three is that I think textbooks sound really fun. I'll bet they have the old book smell that makes your nose tickle. Screens have no smell and just make you lean back in your seat with your head over the back, wishing you were done. I think it would be a lot more fun to learn about computers instead of on it. About the computer instead of on it. If we could just take it apart and saw how it worked, it would be really cool. I always wondered how the keys worked. I also think if we used it less and knew how it worked, it would be a lot easier to use. I hope you consider these ideas and put them to good use. Until next time.
Good evening. My name is Sasha, and I'm a sixth grader. I plan to attend Lower Merion in the near future. My hope is to have the option to opt out of Chromebook learning and access discussion-based learning with actual books and writing on papers. Studies show how kids learn better that way and are more focused. Personally, I remember things better when I write them down. Kids my age are battling depression and anxiety in numbers much higher than my parents' generation. I hope that Lower Merion will follow the research and allow kids all a great education and social connection. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Danny Liu. I'm in 7th grade and I live in Marion Station. I believe that Chromebooks have not been a good thing in schools lately. The usage is getting more and more often, and kids cannot be trusted for a lot of things, and they say they're going to use computers to do their work. They use it to play games and watch movies and do whatever they want, and they can't be trusted to keep a secret. I don't think they can be trusted to do what they say they're going to do. So, and we also have wonderful teachers, and I love my teachers, but they're turned into moderators, and it's hard to keep an eye on all the kids when you have 20, 30 kids a class. You can only keep an eye on so many at a time. And kids are sneaky, and they find a way to split tabs or hide stuff in groups, and just Chromebooks have been a very negative impact on kids, and it's better to just read and write. You remember things easier when you write and the different letters, and it's just nice. It creates peace of mind. It's relaxing not to have a blue light screen in front of you, and kids don't know how to control themselves. You can't give a kid a screen and not trust them to do whatever they want on it. Thank you. Yes.
Thank you.
Hi, I am Jackie and I'm a 6th grader. I don't like the use of technology because there are multiple reasons. One is that, yes, the children cannot be trusted. It's easy to find loopholes. It's easy to create fake accounts. It's easy to escape the teachers when they're coming around because you know the tactics, you know how they teach, you know everything. And for the teachers, it just makes their lives harder. So I don't understand why we need to use them. Like, if we don't have them, you don't have to place more restrictions. You just don't have to have them in general. And if you do that, you don't have to worry about, oh, this kid needs certain restrictions because they can't do their homework, because they can't bring their laptop home or whatever. You can just have a simple pen and paper, and technology has honestly caused me to be one of the only children in my class who actually does reading as a hobby. Not like something they're forced to do by their parents or teacher or guardian in general. Like, I wish I could go back to just being a normal child when I was 4 years old, doing coloring pages for fun, not as something I have to do while I'm stuck in a free period. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. Take this from a rebellious youth. We do not want our fight in liberating my peers from harmful technology to be confrontational or combative. But when you put us in a bigger room to make our dissent seem smaller, when you effectively ignore our testimonies to make your argument seem bigger, we get frustrated. This is a difficult and painful situation for all of us. But that doesn't mean that it has to be one-on-one. We are constantly offering to work with you. You know what is difficult and painful? Ignoring the very people that want to work with you while we suffer the consequences. What is difficult and painful is to sit with yourself after doing nothing, knowing you could have done something. No one said this was going to be easy, but just because it isn't easy doesn't mean it shouldn't be done. And meanwhile, while we're fighting this ludicrous battle against the very people we've entrusted, the big tech companies that exploit us all are profiting. Tranquility has been replaced by hollow stimulation, and there is massive unrest due to an existential worry that my generation won't have the skills to lead and prosper. So no, we don't want combat. But just like Fred Hampton said, peace to you if you're willing to fight for it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Joaquin Imazumi.
Hello everyone, my name is Aaliyah Pack and I am a graduating senior at Lower Merion High School. I was not originally planning on speaking, but I felt a passionate feeling to back the students that just spoke. Coming from a high school senior at Lower Merion High School, I can almost guarantee you the students do not associate the laptops with schoolwork. Almost 100%. It is a personal device that they utilize at home or at school to do whatever they would like to that is unblocked. I think it's an extreme hindrance on their education and their learning and their focus on being in school. If you brought your phone with you and you were able to access work, it's a larger phone. That's basically what I'm saying. That you would not associate your phone with school. It's your personal device. I think that is a major issue that should be considered, and that I wish that students that are coming into either Lower Merion High School or the district did not have to worry about that being their future, that they would not associate themselves being in the building at school, because they would have that own feeling of, oh, I have this access to watching movies or anything else on YouTube. Why is people's work on YouTube that is in school? So many questions I feel have been not answered in the way that they should have in terms of what you're actually going to be implementing in terms of how this is beneficial to students. I don't think it will be, and I don't think anything that is before this supposed new policy has been helpful to students at all. I think a significant restriction on screens would be extremely beneficial. It's also backed by science. So I just want to put a giant push on that, because out of my all 4 years, I think I would have been so much more successful with no screens at all, but I know that's impossible to do at this district. So I just want that to be extremely clear and to push that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, now we have Bella Hertz and Violet Kearns. They're also students, non-agenda item.
Hello, Dr. Ramin and school board members. My name is Bella Hertz. I live in Gladwin, and I am a junior at Harriton High School, finishing up my first year in the International Baccalaureate Diploma Program. Today, I would like to speak with you about the outdated use of Turnitin as an AI detector. As you can imagine, this is an issue very pertinent to me, as the IB is a very writing-heavy program, and in addition to this, I happen to be a lead writing fellow in our writing center as well. Before I get into the problems that I have noticed with Turnitin and how I would like the district to improve on these, I would like to outline my writing process so you can see just how much work my peers and I put into this art on a regular basis. The first and possibly the hardest step in writing a paper is choosing a thesis. You have to narrow down all that you've learned and experienced in the class into one focused sentence meant to encapsulate all of the epiphanies that you want to share in the paper. The next step is looking for sources to expand on your knowledge and become an expert in this meticulously chosen topic so the audience can understand what you're trying to say. Now, this is heavily debated, but in my opinion, the next step is the most important, and that is the outline. In the outline, you compile all of your evidence into one document, decide how each piece serves to prove or disprove your thesis, along with hooks, topic sentences, transition ideas, citations, counterclaims, and a fully worked and completed works cited page. The outline alone takes days to do properly, and when it is finished, it should look almost like a completed paper. All you have left to do from there is neatly sew it all together using the grammatical conventions that you have been learning since elementary school. Then, of course, you edit, and you edit, and you edit. It's tedious and time-consuming, but once you're done, you can finally sit back and look at your well over 10-page paper in its size 12 Times New Roman font with your name on the top, and have the time to feel proud. This process takes weeks, and depending on how often you have to look up synonyms, a few tears as well. But when it is all over, the pride that you feel in your paper that you wrote is unmistakable and irreplaceable. It is also irresistible and serves as encouragement to keep writing and keep putting effort into your classes, even when it's well over 90 degrees outside and you just want to play hacky sack. Congratulations, you're done with your paper. You download it as a PDF and upload it to Turnitin for your teacher to read. You look at the AI rating, 50%. 50% of the time that you spend, 50% of the edits you made, 50% of the M-dashes that you looked up to make sure you used them properly. Now, not only do you have to appeal to your teacher to prove your innocence, but you are in danger of failing. Even if your teacher is generous enough to allow a rewrite, there is no way that you can have that 2-week minimum necessary to produce a paper of the same caliber that you submitted before. No student deserves this kind of heartbreak, and I have seen it happen to both strangers in the writing centers and friends. So please, I urge you, look into alternatives. GPT-0 is well reputed, as well as Clarity. Please don't sacrifice our writing for your convenience. Thank you.
Thank you. Violet Kearns, and then Noah Murphy is also a student on non-agenda item.
Hello, my name is Violet, and I'm a junior at Harriton High School, also in the IB program. Today I want to talk to you about specifically Google AI. I'm someone who is, yes, a student, but I'm also a researcher and a writer, and in some ways a scientist and a mathematician, and that's what you get as being a student at Harriton or at any of these schools. That's what a student is. And it's your job as our student or as our school board, to be able to help us learn and grow and think. Because not only are we just students at Harridan or other schools, but we're also the future of the government and, our economics and everything that makes our world what it is. And so it's incredibly important, and it's incredibly a massive duty of all of you to be able to take that seriously. But instead, as we research and we do our math and we do our science or whatever we may do, we go on Google and immediately are met with Google AI. It's not something we can turn off. It's not something that we can avoid. It's something that will always be there because our school is not letting us turn it off. I personally have the privilege of having a home computer at my house, and I'm able to turn it off, but so many other students and my peers are not able to and are constantly met with the challenge of navigating around it. Not only is it incredibly inaccurate, but it's also a massive hindrance to when we're researching. In middle school, we're taught what the research process is, which is going down a thinking stream and being able to branch off and being able to grow and find different things to learn about. But when you constantly have to write -AI at every single prompt that you put into Google AI or Google, and you constantly have to monitor yourself and keep a calm face and constantly have to check what you're saying and constantly have to stop your curiosity that's blooming to write -AI, it separates your thoughts. It separates your stream of thought and means that you're not able to research properly. So I'm asking you, not only as a student, but also as someone who cares about the environment and is forced to deal with the repercussions of having every single Google search hurt our environment with its water usage, please make it so that we do not use Google AI on our computer. With the amount of restrictions we have through our school for our computer, it's ridiculous that we still have Google AI. Also, just because I've been hearing a lot, I personally have grown up with computers, and I'm in the IB program, and I do debate, and I'm a very successful student, and I don't think that anybody in IB or anybody in my school who does hard programs would be able to be where they are right now without the usage of computers and being able to be technologically literate. I think it's an incredibly important skill to learn at a young age, and to hinder that for students is incredibly damaging. So that's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I'm a junior at Harridan High School. My name is Noah Murphy. And first of all, I'd like to thank our IB cohort. We have some of our members here for entrusting us with this opportunity to speak about AI in education and really speak on this issue and how it affects us personally. And also, I'd like to thank, of course, the school board and Mr. Ranelli for giving us this opportunity as well. So I'll try not to repeat what some of my peers have said, but offer some new ideas on the same issue of AI and how it incorporates into our education in schools, and also the same website, Turnitin, that has proven to be somewhat ineffective as of late. Now, according to a study by Temple University, Turnitin's AI detection could be made about 50% less accurate with writing that involves AI in specific stages, such as outlining and grammar correction. So basically, like a hybrid between a student-made paper versus some AI modifications. Now, while you might think that that might not be an issue when you use AI when writing, because obviously you're not supposed to use AI when writing, but the lines have been, they've been grayed over the years as we've now used it in certain contexts and certain processes in our writing process, such as grammar correction, spell check, and also outlining in the initial stages and brainstorming. So this is not to mention the fact that it also has been shown to perform worse, Turnitin, with non-native English speakers, which is increasing our already existing educational inequities, and also that it might become more and more accurate over time as AI tools get updated and renewed, while the data for these Turnitin type websites, these AI detectors, remain trained on the same old AI that is now completely non-existent. So our main ask is for, at least for me, a bit more specificity, in the district's policy on this issue. As we've seen many different interpretations of the exact same AI policies from classroom to classroom, and that's what a lot of the confusion has been caused here and how to regulate it. This has been a consistent issue not just from this district, different schools, from elementary level all the way up to universities, and we don't really fully know how these detectors operate, which is the thing. So therefore, I'd like to conclude with the fact that before detectors improve, as detectors improve, we need a more detailed and consistent AI policy so that we can ensure that they're regulated well across all of our classrooms here at LMSD. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Okay, I have Malik Hosair, Shri Gapalan, Taylor Cromo Wiley, and then Ruth Jenkin.
This is agenda items and confirming that there's no other students in the room that want to speak.
I do not believe there's any further students, and yes, these are agenda items.
Wonderful. You're up.
Hello, board members and superintendent. I'm Malik Hossein from Wynwood. My 5-year-old son will attend Penwyn in the fall. So I'm speaking in support of maintaining the opt-out provision for now because I do not think the proposed policy goes far enough to establish our commitment to the core ingredients of a good education. We do need to be more intentional in our approach to achieving our teaching and learning goals and thinking more carefully about when and where to incorporate technology and AI. So what are these core ingredients into teaching and learning? Well, I want to share a personal story. So for me, I went to public school in Alabama, and I wouldn't change my experience for the world. But down there, we had half the resources we have here in Lower Merion. Lunch was $1.50 and was increased to $2, but over half of the students were on the free and reduced lunch program because their parents couldn't afford the cost of lunch. Our textbooks were 7 to 10 years old and falling apart. All students had to walk through metal detectors every day, and we had to have clear or mesh backpacks to make sure kids didn't bring weapons or drugs to school. So, how did I make it out and succeed? I succeeded because I had great parents, a few close friends, some spectacular teachers, and a lot of luck. Here in this room, we have great parents, spectacular students, some of the best teachers in the country. I don't know how to make us lucky, but I think our resources help. We have all the ingredients right here. So when you hear between the last policy meeting or this meeting or from your emails or from other constituents that some of these devices are making it harder for parents to be good parents, harder for kids to make friends and pay attention, harder for teachers to teach, I think we need to stop and think if we're sacrificing some of the fundamental ingredients to the success of our kids. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello. My name is Sri Gopalan, and I live in Penn Valley. Last week I was at the school board meeting, and what brought me to speak here today was that the proposed changes to the school district's school screen policy really felt like they didn't go far enough for me. We're living through some serious negative trends right now. The Surgeon General declared a loneliness epidemic tied to social isolation. Math and reading scores have been dropping since smart devices became widespread, which is a real break from decades of progress. These aren't small problems, and they deserve a bigger response than what's being proposed. When it comes to one-on-one devices, if the goal is tech literacy, we don't need every kid to have their own internet-connected device with access to games and weak safety filters to get there. Kids can learn to type, code, and conduct online research using devices from a computer cart or a computer lab. We can teach technology in a focused way without letting it bleed into every part of the school day. And if increasing access is the goal, it's worth asking, is giving every student access to YouTube, streaming, and games actually helping? Is there evidence of clear benefit that outweighs the distraction? Most parents that I know are fighting hard at home to keep screen time limited and safe. The current policy and the proposed updates aren't aligned with that. Parents should have the ability to opt their kids out of these devices until the district can ensure that screen use is limited, safe, and genuinely distraction-free. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Good evening, Taylor Cromo Wiley, Bala-Kenwood. First off, I just want to say thank you to all of you on the school board. I don't want to be in your seats right now, and I really appreciate, especially last week, staying here until 11 p.m. As I look out in this room, I see a lot of people that are probably like-minded to myself without, overgeneralizing. And even in this group of people, I see many that are distracted by their phones, pulling up text, mindless doom scrolling, and most of us, not all of us, because there are some very brave students here, are full functioning adults with full functioning brains, and we're not able to say no to the distractions. I do want to note that 3 of us up here don't have laptops up and are taking notes by hand, and I think that's wonderful for you guys. So, with all that in mind, I think that when an issue is brought up to a business or a school especially, when a change is made, that kind of tends to be putting a bow on it and saying, that's it, we've made the change. Now, my 3 kids are all younger. They're all under 4. So I've got a few years before we start in the school district and many, many, many years in the school district. So I'm thinking about the future here. And I don't want this decision to change the policy to be done in a rush and then say, okay, we did it, we solved the problem. It is my understanding that the first read could have lasted more than 1 meeting, and I was honestly a little bit surprised that it was moved to second read after hearing almost 3 hours of parent concerns. So I would like to beg you guys to just take your time with this decision. Wait for the research, make a very thoughtful plan. I know last week we had said that there weren't any AI concerns addressed, and that to me says maybe it should have stayed in the first read a little bit longer. So thank you, and I really hope that you're able to just take some more time so that when we put a bow on it, it's something that's not just going to satisfy people now. My 3-month-old son, when he's 18 graduating high school, I want him to have a policy that is still relevant. I mean, maybe it'll change in 18 years, but something that can move forward for many, many, many years. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have Ruth Jenkin, then I have Yair Keshet, Peter Downs, Erin Amini.
Ruth Jenkin from Wynwood. There have been many studies, nationally and internationally, explaining the danger of too much screen time. We should do a study as well. It is not only parents that are concerned about excessive screen time, and they are not happy as well. We have not moved from the pandemic when students were learning remotely. We are not remote any longer. Teachers need to see faces, not the backs of computers. As an educator, I needed eye contact in order to assess the situation and take appropriate action. With face-to-face discussions and special projects, that is all missing. A more balanced and intentional approach to how technology can be employed in the classroom is needed. How many hours a day in school is a student in front of a screen? And how many hours out of school? They are not outside, not face-to-face, not speaking. The screen is impersonal, robotic, and fleeting, with a shorter retention rate. Another issue is lack of distance vision. Due to so much close work, by the 3rd grade, many students will be wearing glasses for loss of distance vision. And lastly, I feel that it was an inappropriate response to parents with valid concerns for them to be told to go private.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, Mr. Keshet? Okay. Is Mr. Keshet here? Yeah. Oh, okay, here we go.
Hi, Yair Keshet from Gladwin. Another Yair. I'm sure you're thrilled. I'm as surprised as you are. Before I read what I wrote, I just wanted to say one kind of observation that I have in this whole thing, which is that, I hope you're aware that all the people in this room came, right? You're here with your time, we're here with ours. But we pretty much represent everybody. I don't know if you realize this. There's not a single parent I've talked to that doesn't have the exact same concerns that we do. This isn't like a bunch of privileged, childlike parents, who are throwing a tantrum. This is everybody. You have to understand that. That is critical. I've not spoken to anybody who says, let's keep it going. Let's do what we're doing. Let's get more tech into the kindergarten, first grade, second grade. Nobody even wants tech in first, second grade. Nobody wants it. I hope that you don't want it. But in any case, now I'll read from my comments. I'll probably run out of time. So in my childhood, we lived near the poverty line. At age 9, we came to the United States with very little, seeking specialized surgical care for my sister, who is now a world-class physician. My parents sacrificed everything for us and bought a foreclosed home in a strong public school district in Boston, near Boston. It's a place just like Lower Merion. We attended public schools, worked hard, and achieved some success. Today, I'm an architect running a small healthcare architecture practice with my partner, who also teaches at Penn and was voted best instructor in the whole school 2 years ago. We have 2 elementary school children and deeply appreciate the teachers at GES. We love them. I also volunteer as a commissioner on Lower Merion Historic Commission, and I do actually want to thank you for your public service. I know that this is your time and you're doing it for free, and I appreciate that. So this is a message that comes from personal experience, and I just want to say that society expects excellence from Lower Merion. We're famous for producing Kobe Bryant, but we also produce leaders in various fields, from the sciences to the humanities. And public education works when districts like ours produce exceptional graduates. The system doesn't work when we become complacent in our parenting and complacent in our schools. Our graduates matter. They represent what public education can and should be. The district motto is enter to learn, go forth to serve. That's simple, beautiful, and true. But the current environment is fracturing, and that's what you've heard from everyone in these parents, and the kids, obviously. And so what I want to say is that educational technology and screen dependence is undermining public education. AI and excessive screen dependence are weakening our children's ability to synthesize, think critically, focus deeply, and develop original ideas. I urge you to recognize the seriousness of this issue, because we're putting these kids at a disadvantage. They're going to be at a serious disadvantage when they get out into the world under the current regimen.
That's your timer. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Peter Downs, Aaron Amini, Irene Brody, and then Ben Prusky.
Hello, everybody. I'm a graduate of Penn Valley, Welsh Valley, and Harridan, and I, in 2021, moved back to right down the street. I live on Hamilton Road. I'm super proud to live in Lower Merion and to have gone to the schools here. And I am also shocked to hear about kind of the proposed policy and how much it lacked. I think there was a request for specific concrete suggestions as the community is working with the school board here. And I would just like to share my opinion as someone who works in technology. I've spent the last 15 years working in startups in particular, but largely financial technology and recently advertising technology. And that is to say, you should not have any AI in schools whatsoever. There should be a zero AI policy. It is It's one of the most consequential developments that humanity has ever created. I use it every day in a variety of ways. It's essential for me to do my job running a high-performing engineering team, but it is not good for learning, and it has no place in the classroom. Secondly, there should be a complete phone ban, bell to bell. Same thing. I was at Harridan when we were issued sort of the one-on-one laptops for the first time, and I don't remember everything from high school, but we definitely did not learn a lot on those computers. And I think a bunch of bad stuff happened too. But the main point is that it really didn't help me learn anything. Some of the only times I got in trouble at school, one is I skipped my AP computer science class because it wasn't teaching me anything. And the second one was I had unlocked my computer so that I could program. I went to MIT, and I'm really grateful for the education I received there. For the most part, the education I received at Harridan, Welsh Valley, and Penn Valley prepared me for that. But I'm worried that if we don't take decisive action to remove AI from our schools and severely limit the use of technology as part of our education practice, future students won't be prepared. Thank you.
Thank you. Hi, Erin Amini from Kenwood. I'm a pediatrician and mother to 4 elementary and middle school children in Lower Merion School District. Given my background on the developmental needs of children and the direct effects screens have on them, we've deliberately limited exposure to devices in our home. We've never given our children an iPad, phone, computer, video games, smartwatches, and we limit our TV usage to 1 co-viewed movie per week that we've made more about the connection of family than the movie itself. This may seem extreme to some, but the truth is, the dopamine hits we get from real life just can't compete with digital media in any form, especially to the developing brain. As one gentleman mentioned in the meeting last week, the business model of digital media is focused on use to drive profits. And they use the brain's reward system to achieve exactly this. The tech giants have studied the neuroscience, and they know leveraging instant feedback, variable rewards, social validation, et cetera, work, and are the very same mechanisms that keep drug addicts coming back for more. We aren't just talking about social media from this aspect. Digital media in general utilizes visual complexity, fast-paced frame changes, pattern interruption, information density, among many other strategies to increase dopamine and therefore maintain attention. This works in adults, so it really, really works in kids. What's the result of this from a science perspective, you may ask? The brain begins to adapt. It decreases the amount of dopamine it makes and responds to balance the levels back to a steady state. And therefore, it becomes less sensitive to the natural everyday rewards, making real life feel less gratifying overall. It then requires more intense dopamine hits to achieve the original reward satisfaction, and without it, a sense of anxiety and irritability ensues. Think about how this affects the average adult. Then realize the extent that this exploits our youth. Many parents spoke to the impacts of screen usage in at-risk kids with diagnoses such as ADHD, but I would argue it impacts every child. I also heard proposals of varying levels of restrictions based on age, but I would also argue that the adolescent brain is still developing, just in a different way than the elementary brain is. When we factor in influence of AI, we start to talk about cognitive atrophy, lower neural connectivity, and decreased engagement leading to decreased use of complex reasoning, problem-solving skills, etc. This is the exact opposite of what school is meant to instill. I think also worth noting is not just the impact of digital media to development, but also how the digital footprint becomes tailored to the user, and for children searching for controversial or unsupervised topics, they could become a target for misinformation, biased views, et cetera, that could be detrimental to their well-being. Additionally, kids are at risk of exposures that are developmentally inappropriate. In our middle schoolers class this year, proxy servers have been used to create various websites with explicit content, YouTube videos, a myriad of video games, and on at least one occasion, there was a panic button allowed it to immediately close if a teacher walked by, and at least one website was distributed to the elementary students as well. I have a lot more, but my time is Thank you. up. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Irene Brody. I live in Penn Valley, and I have 2 kids in Penn Valley Elementary School in 1st and 3rd grade. My daughter Vivian spoke last week, and she emphasized on acting on what we know helps children learn best and what we should prioritize for education in LMSD. I'd like to expand on her message today. And I also want to thank the members of the board for their time and commitment to the issue, and specifically to Superintendent Ranelli, who personally reached out to me by phone a few weeks ago. You probably didn't know my face at the time, requesting that my children be opted out of one-to-one school-based computer instruction. When Superintendent Ranelli told me this wasn't an option, I started thinking more about what we are prioritizing as our education goals. I don't have personal experience with the level of one-to-one computer use in middle school or high school, but I do know what children are doing in elementary school. And at a bare minimum, we should remove one-to-one computer use in elementary school and implement weekly computer lab instruction focused on technology education starting in 3rd grade. Many others in the room have spoken to decreased utilization in the later years, and I agree with their message, but I only have 3 minutes here. In elementary school, I'm not sure what the advantage is for each child to be issued their own iPad or laptop. The simpler question is there any evidence that supports replacing teachers, paper, pencils, books with hands-on learning with screen-based instruction? What is it that they need their own computer for and otherwise are unable to learn in a dedicated computer lab that teaches proper typing skills and basic technology education? We all know anything that kids may learn in elementary school beyond these skills won't even be remotely applicable once they hit the workforce with the speed AI is moving. All I have is growing evidence. All I've seen is growing evidence of harm. I'm a medical director. I've literally spent years of my life reading peer-reviewed scientific publications and thinking critically about the evidence and then compiling it into various medical communications. I've done the same regarding the evidence supporting computer-supplemented education for young children. I've instead found that studies show worse attention, poorer sleep, lower standardized academic achievement, and weaker developmental outcomes. I studied behavioral neuroscience in school. Neuroscience shows that writing by hand creates stronger memory formation. Children learn by interacting with the world, manipulating blocks, building models, drawing diagrams, turning pages, and using their hands. Human memory needs physical interaction and multisensory experiences, not just tapping glass screens. There's a major difference between technology, teaching, and replacing foundational learning with technology. I implore the board to consider this. Consider the developmental costs. Imagine where the shift is going. Imagine a world where teachers are entirely replaced by computers. This is where we are heading very quickly. We love our teachers at LMSD. We need our teachers, and we don't want to lose our teachers to iReady and other ed tech companies. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Mr. Persky, then I have Carrie Palmisano, and then Rich Siegel.
Thank you, Secretary LaPera. It's Prusky. My name's Ben Prusky. I am a resident of Bryn Mawr. I live across the street from Harriton High School. And I have two children at Gladwin Elementary who've already spoken, Bryn and Jane, in second and first grade. I have a pre-K student who would have been here to speak as well, but it's his bedtime. I want to thank you guys all for your time. I repeat this every week. I can't believe that this is a volunteer position and how much time you guys put in this. It is really quite fascinating. Yeah, give them a round of applause. Give them a round of applause. Okay? Your jobs are hard. I get it. Your jobs are really hard. Dr. Ranelli, your job might be the hardest. But I looked at a map today of, I was looking at my polling place because I recently moved from Gladwin to Bryn Mawr. Lucky me. And I looked at a map and I saw the neighboring townships. The other, I don't even know their names. Plymouth Meeting, my nephews are Plymouth Meeting. All these other townships. It is not a risky move to put a pause on the conversation and keep things as they are. Let us work through the issues. The logistics of everything that's being discussed and thrown out and ideas, and what if one kid in a class wants to have it and 20 kids don't? The logistics are tough. We can work with you to work through those logistics. If we need to get textbooks, and like, how do we get textbooks anymore because there's no money for them? We can work with you on that. All of these things are solvable. We put men in the moon. We've put women in space. We've got skills. The risky move, the real risky move for this school board, and I assume some of you maybe will aspire to other things beyond just school board. The risky move is yanking this away. You know it's wrong. I know it's wrong. My kids read books up in their bedroom. They're quiet and calm. A year ago, we gave them 3 tablets. They reacted like monkeys on acid. And it's obvious. You know the answers. Let's put a pause on it and slow things down and go from there. We can work it out. We'll figure it out. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Carrie Palmisano, then Rich Siegel, Meredith, I think it's Briscoe Bassick.
Hi, Carrie Palmisano, Marion Station. As I have said in prior meetings, I fear the day that my child enters middle school, not only because it is a naturally awkward and vulnerable time for kids, but because I can't fathom a 5th grader being expected to learn and pay attention for 6 hours and 35 minutes a day primarily from a Chromebook or with a cell phone in their pocket. I fear losing important developmental years to a screen. I fear the cyberbullying. I fear the quote-unquote innocent chatting on Google Docs instead of focusing. I fear the not-so-innocent chatting where self-esteem is lost, where words do hurt. I fear losing interpersonal skills from hiding behind a screen. I fear failing to meet learning potentials because of the constant tech distractions. I fear most that dystopian image of kids sitting quietly at desks with screens open, headphones on, heads tilted towards the glow of a screen, staring blankly into an intangible world of zeros and ones. I'm afraid we thought we were giving them the world by giving them access to literally the world through laptops, cell phones, and iPads. Instead, we are making them reliant on AI feeding them answers. We gamified learning, where concepts are not reinforced in memorable ways. We made patience and boredom a thing of the past, promoting a lack of focus and poor attention to detail. Pope Leo recently addressed the world on World Communications Day with a focus on preserving human voices and faces. In regards to AI, and specifically for young people, he advised, use it in such a way that if it disappeared tomorrow, you would still know how to think. I am not afraid of my child learning how to take a test on a computer. Tech is a natural part of the world now, and our kids will know it better than us, and they probably already do. But if you don't have the knowledge base to apply to the tech, it is useless. No one is asking for a one-size-fits-all across all levels. There's a reason kids are grouped by grades. The maturity changes, the expectations change, and the responsibilities increase. Meaningful change doesn't take place overnight. So while I cannot propose a complete policy reform tonight, we, the elected school board, superintendent, parents, teachers, IT professionals, and students, should give such an important policy the deserved time and thought to make it complete and set LMSD way ahead. You, the board, are the superheroes who have the superpowers to set this on the right track. With the utmost respect, please do not remove policy 134 and 137 until a viable, concrete, and reviewed alternative exists. Be the heroes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hey guys, it's me, Rich Siegel, your friendly game developer. I went to Kinwood Elementary, BC, Lower Merion. My two little girls are both at Kinwood right now. I guess I just want to be real specific and echo what the doctor said last. Elementary school, concrete policy change. The kids have individual lessons they go to once a week, STEM and art and whatnot. And I just think for elementary school guys, we do not need individual devices. And the concrete policy change is that they once a week go to a computer lab and learn to type. You can save a lot of money ditching the ed tech programs, which I think are really bad. I know we're switching from Dreambox, which I think is really bad, to iReady, which is being sued and is not really well thought of and costs a lot of money. Kids really in elementary school they can learn to type. And on a public device that they're going to and using, there's no danger of them. A kid is not going to go to a porn website on the public computer in the lab where everyone can see. But when we all have our individual devices at home, who knows what they're doing? So I think that's the concrete policy change I would like to see imagined here, instead of, I know this whole idea of opting out is hard to handle, but if we got rid of our one-to-one devices in elementary school, they don't need them. They can go to a computer lab once a week, maybe even twice a week if you guys want. I think it would just be much better, parents would be happier, and our kids would learn better. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Meredith Briscoe Basic. I have a daughter in second grade at Marion Elementary and two rising twin first graders. And I again want to just echo what has been said here this evening and implore the board to take the time to not remove 134 or 137 until we have a policy in place that everyone in the room can really get behind. And I think there have been a lot of cohesive statements that have been said this evening and on prior meetings, but I also echo that a very low-hanging fruit for the newer policy would be no one-to-one device use in elementary school. That's where my kids are now. And to hear my daughter talk about it, you know, reading on a computer is distracting for her. She doesn't enjoy it like when she's holding a physical book. And one of the things that also exists is learning how to type, but we have children who are graduating elementary school who don't know how to write. And so I'm not really sure that even typing is necessary, learning that typing class. But again, if so, it could be done on the computer lab. Instead, what I wanted to highlight this evening, though, is, as teachers have been recognized, is just to talk a little bit about some of what I hear back when we talk about the challenges of eliminating one-to-one device use in elementary school. As well, some of these programs sort of allow a very tailored curriculum for the students, and they do it real time, and this is a really great advantage. However, I will say that I have a daughter who I got a call from her teacher one afternoon impromptu, and she said, you know,
your daughter just wasn't herself today. She was over in the corner. She just wasn't herself. I don't know how to explain it. And so I went over and I sat with her and I talked to her and realized that she was having a conflict with two of her friends. And I brought her over and we were able to work it out. That's the person that I want directing the curriculum for my daughter. The one who has the ability to know when she's not herself. I don't need a device to tailor curriculum to her. I need these amazing teachers to be allowed to teach to their full ability. So I really just want to encourage that. And so thank you for your time this evening, but really I'm here, we have wonderful teachers, and I just want them to have the most possible time with my children. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Teresa Elko, Sarah Dale, Yair Lev, Alexandra Parfit.
Hi, thanks for having us here tonight. My name is Teresa Elko. I'm from Wynwood. I have a kindergartner at Penn Wyn. I'd just like to start off by, I guess, focusing on some common ground that I think all of us in the room can agree on. Point one, students absolutely need to learn to use technology. Nobody here is arguing that. However, in my opinion, playing games and watching YouTube videos, however educational they might be, is not necessary to prepare our kids for a future as software engineers or data scientists or really anything. Yes, kids should learn valuable technology skills, and I think that there's a great opportunity, as others have mentioned here, for computer labs to make a comeback and have some intentional technology education. I also agree that parents have an important role in managing their children's device usage. And for those of us who enforce certain screen time boundaries at the home, it can feel like certain school policies are at odds with us there. Before my daughter started kindergarten, the only time she had held an iPad was to watch a movie on an airplane. Now and for the next 12 years, she'll be using a device that I can't supervise, and that's concerning to me. My role as a parent feels seriously challenged when the school insists that she needs an iPad to learn. What I'm struggling with most, I think, is placing so much responsibility with this new policy on students regarding their behavior with the devices. These devices are marketed as engaging, and we're reassured that the educational aspect makes it safe, but the evidence overwhelmingly says otherwise. The end users here, as others have mentioned, are children with developing brains. As others have said, I bet most adults in this room struggle with self-control in devices, myself included, and now I fear that we're placing an unreasonable and unrealistic expectation on a child who is having their dopamine pathway hijacked by design while expecting skilled educators to police their activity instead of teaching, and expecting parents to teach their kids how to restrain themselves around an addictive device that they didn't want their kid to have in the first place. This is where I think digital citizenship training falls short. If a child misbehaves at school, yes, there should be a consequence. But if at school that child is handed an addictive drug that we find out they are abusing, are we really blaming the child? Can we acknowledge that children shouldn't be given anything addictive in the first place, especially at school? To that end, I'd also like to understand how devices can be taken away as a punishment for improper use as per the new policy, but they can't be removed as a proactive request by the parent. Perhaps it is possible to deliver curriculum without one-to-one devices. I think the most difficult piece to reconcile is the rationale behind what's been asked. So please help us understand, why can't curriculum be removed without these one-to-one devices? Please don't remove 134 and 137 until we have a clear alternative in place. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Alexandra Parfit, Ardmore. I have a fourth grader at Penn Valley.
I'm sorry, you're a little bit out of order. We
Oh, I'm
had
out of order.
Sarah Dale, was that one, then Yair, then Alexandra. Is Sarah? Sarah not here? Okay, then after Sarah is Yair, and then Alexandra. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. My name is Yair, and Yair Levin from Marion Station. First of all, before I start, I'll just say that my daughter worked this whole afternoon to try to write something, but she was shy in the last minute, so I'm sorry. But she was talking about her experience as a elementary kid. So because there are rumors and allegations about this movement, I want to start with myself. I'm deeply involved in technology and healthcare, medicine, cardiology. I use technology, I value technology, I support technology when it is used in purpose, evidence, safety, and judgment. I'm not anti-technology. I'm also an educator. I've taught students, residents, fellows, trainees, junior faculty, and I take great pride in the teaching awards and recognition that I've received. I'm not an educator of children, but after speaking over the last year with dozens and dozens of teachers, I see many similarities. And exactly because of this, I understand both technology and education. I'm involved in this movement because of the teachers. Because of the teachers. And because LMSD has an incredible opportunity to reimagine learning and reduce the digital wall between children, teachers, and peers. Because when a child is on the computer learning core subjects like math, that child is pulled into a different world. The child may be physically in the classroom, but too often the attention, the connection, the curiosity, learning are cut and severed from the teacher and from the room. Last week, the co-chair of the policy committee raised a very important question, in my opinion. What does opt-out really mean and look like? Opt-out, in my opinion, means removing personal one-to-one school-issued devices as a routine delivery system of core subjects like math, social sciences, and replacing that with human-based education while using technology intentionally through computer carts, labs, typing, digital literacy, AI education, thoughtful instruction about the digital world. The co-chair of the policy committee also said that it is time to focus on solutions and not just problems, and I agree with that. People keep saying that this cannot work logistically, but I've spoken with so many educators across our district, elementary, middle, high school, and many have told me that we can do it. I don't know the exact model. There's many potential ways to do it, but what many educators have been saying again and again is going back to the model of computer carts. I've heard it from so many teachers. So it can be done. LMSD has a chance to be remembered as a bold, visionary district, working with parents, trusted teachers, educators, listening to kids, and help lead the national shift back towards human-based connections. The shift is already happening. The pendulum is moving fast back towards books, papers, attention, creativity, real connection, and the amazing bond between kids and teachers. So please lead the change. Please be the change. Please choose the children and the teachers, and please preserve the policies and do not eliminate the policies that protect our rights to opt out our children. Please. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, after Alexandra, we have Matthew Posey, Randy Harris, and then Dean Rosenkrantz.
All right, let me try this again. That's okay. Alexandra Parfit, Ardmore. Thank you for your volunteering tonight. Thank you for a nice, cool room, a little more comfortable. And thank you for all your hard work on the policy AR that we saw last week, and we understand it's a draft. I'm here to ask you to delay the vote on policy 134 because we haven't worked out a viable policy alternative yet. Monitoring kids' access to tech, it isn't a Penn Valley or a Gladwin issue. In becoming involved, I've just spoken to so many parents who share the same concerns, and it's very, very widespread. So, Dr. Sautner, you said in a previous meeting that society is like a pendulum, and it really is swinging back. Parents are becoming a lot more intentional in how they parent around technology. We're waiting until 8th. We're storing our kids' devices in locked safes. We're doing all sorts of things, and we don't all have the same rules or policies. I mean, I think I'd like to dispel that myth about our movement. I would love to have 4 children and have them have no access to tech. I mean, my rules for my child are based on the American Academy of Pediatrics, 2 hours a day. So I'd love to win the Waldorf Mom of the Year. Not going to happen, okay? But after last week's meeting, I showed my daughter an article where I was interviewed by Broad and Liberty. And I said that I was motivated to speak after I learned that after fighting her so hard to keep to 2 hours a day, she was handed a device at school, and I did not know the extent of that she was using it. And she laughed. She beat me by going to school. All right? So we need better policies, and these take time. Please, let's pause and reflect on policy 134 and 137. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Evening, my name is Matthew Posey from Ballackinwood. I'm an LMSD parent. I've spent my entire professional career in information technology. The administration claims it's necessary to eliminate policies 134 and 137 to deliver its curriculum. But the truth of the matter is that this board is being asked to strip away parental rights at the very moment that the risks of corporate ed tech have reached an all-time high. Time and again, district staff have been openly admitted to struggling with student baseline content filtering. This sort of technical problem was solved well over a decade ago. But given that the district is unable or unwilling to correct on this basic issue, how can it justify a mandatory private equity-backed digital subscription curriculum through a compromised one-to-one device? The district is blindly committing to vendors with massive liabilities. For the upcoming school year, LMSD plans to implement Curriculum Associates iReady platform. CA is already facing a federal class action lawsuit in late 2025, which alleges that iReady unlawfully tracks over 80 categories of minor student data and transmits it to ad networks without parental consent. All of this occurs within the background of high-profile compromises of other private equity-backed ed tech firms, such as Instructure, the owner of Canvas LMS, an online learning app, and used by area universities here, such as Penn and Drexel. Given the troubling history of this district's mishandling of technology, most notably through the Robbins case, it is malpractice to not await further resolution of these legal issues while attempting to eliminate these policies. Further, it appears that the district is appointing right to no lawyer while simultaneously withholding details of the iReady contract from the taxpayers. Why is this? Over a decade ago, the billionaire-funded In Bloom initiative attempted to mandate collection of minor student data from American public schools. It collapsed under the weight of overwhelming parental opposition because parents refused to let philanthrop capitalists use their children as data harvesting experiments. Some of us in this room are deeply aware of how the philanthropic pipelines of corporate education reform function. We know that the national networks are funded to normalize these data collection forms in public schools, and we understand the institutional pressures to comply with these agendas. I'd remind our leadership here that their role is not to build a conduit for ed tech subscriptions. Their job is to protect and educate our children. After the 2010 webcam surveillance scandal, when the student's sister similarly sought accountability through legal means, this district's response was to call her lawsuit the epitome of an attempted money grab. Policies 134 and 137 emerged from this scandal. At the policy committee last week, I similarly described decades of denials of the damage from secondhand smoke. What we see today is the same hubris, the same disregard for parental consent, and the exact same mistakes over again. To the members of the board, I urge you to function as an independent body, do your job is to please protect our children, and keep policies 134 and 137 on the books. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Randy Harris. I live in Ballackinwood. I have 2 kids in the school district. I'm a public school teacher, and I keep asking myself, how did we get here with ed tech? I can't help but visualize ed tech companies administering an IV drip to our public school system. At first, it was so slow that we could only just feel the effects, and they seemed promising, even exciting. In 2016, I was one of those teachers feeling that excitement. I presented with colleagues at an ed tech conference about our innovative use of an educational app. I became friendly with the creator of the app, who also happened to work at Facebook before he created the platform used in many schools nationwide. I will never forget turning toward this tech guru and joking with him that he must give a free app subscription to the school where his own kids attended. Lucky them, I thought. He got serious and a little uncomfortable and explained that, in fact, he sent his kids to a school that used zero technology. I was so invested in this app and ed tech that I could not wrap my head around his response. That slow drip was so subtle that it's taken more than a decade to wake up to the reality that tech developers like him knew all along. When the pandemic hit, these companies saw an opportunity. We needed this vital technology and these one-to-one devices to help us deliver the curriculum. The slow drip suddenly turned into an overdose of screen use, and despite being fully back to in-person learning for 5+ years, tech-based curriculum has somehow become the new normal, with an especially great jump in LMSD upon entering middle school. The amount of tech isn't the only thing that changed, though. Since the pandemic, we're seeing escalating rates of teacher burnout and an increase in students with behavioral issues, anxiety, and other mental health concerns, increased inattention, and low frustration tolerance. All of these are commingled with screen use. While classroom management has always been part of the job, these issues are outside of the norm. We love our LMSD teachers. They are the most vital piece of this equation. Have they been given an opportunity to anonymously voice their own concerns with EdTech? I am grateful that you're listening to our voices, but until there's a more specific guidance and evidence-based changes for device usage in this new policy, any decisions about repealing policies 137 and 134, which clearly protect family choice with one-to-one devices, must be tabled. Your brave choices will impact our children's futures. Please don't rush this decision. Thank you.
Okay, we have Dean Rosenkrantz, then Seth Rutherman, and then Rory Balkin. Sorry about that. Dean Rosenkrantz, right? Okay. And then Seth, then Rory.
Hi, I'm Dean Rosenkrantz. I'm a retired teacher. I taught 12 years at Lower Merion High School in this building. Feels good to be back. It was an honor to teach here. We have a great school district. I appreciate all your hard work in making it what it is. It's a great place to be a teacher, and it's a great place for many people to be students. There's a place for technology in school. I had my students use laptops for some lessons, but most of the time, my students were not on laptops. Why not? Firstly, because paper and pencil, analog tools, are the best way for a student to build understanding. I think that's been demonstrated by scientific research, and it's just my own personal experience watching students and helping them learn. But that's not the only reason, because as you know, when you bring laptops into a classroom, they come with serious baggage. We know how distracting our smartphones are, and you heard from students today. No, well, actually, let me say one more thing about that. I commend the board for the policy off and away regarding smartphones in the schools, and friends of mine who are teachers in the district tell me that it's really working, that not only are the phones not in the classroom, but at least at Blackrock, they're not even in the hallways. It's just understood, it's the culture that the phones are off and away from morning till dismissal. That's tremendous accomplishment. That really is an accomplishment. I appreciate that. But before you feel too good about that, I think we now are starting to realize that laptops in a classroom are just as distracting as a smartphone. We heard students tell us tonight, how often their classmates play games and watch movies on the laptops in school. When a student has a laptop on their desk, it's very tempting to go to those other tabs beyond the ones that they were asked to go to by the teacher. And once the other tabs are open, they can go to YouTube, they can go to a messaging app, just like texting, or they can play video games. I've seen this all too often in my experience as a teacher. My last year teaching at Lower Merion was the year that ChatGPT arrived on Earth. Artificial intelligence is an amazing tool, but it's also another good reason to have students work on paper. Social studies teachers tell me they're going back to the printer. Much like I did in math class, they're doing it in history and social studies. They print prompts and questions for students to have them write on paper instead of on the computer. Otherwise, it's too tempting just to go to AI and do the writing for you. Now, some might say this is, when you write with AI, that's cheating. Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. But the reason teachers don't want students to write with AI is not because it's cheating, but it's because they want to teach for understanding. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I have a request for Mr. Ramaswamy to go next because they have small children they would like to take home. Are we good with that? Okay. Mr. Ramaswamy?
It's okay. You don't have to run with the baby. It's okay.
So I hope he'll go cooperate. Thank you to the board, to everybody here. And I want to thank Ms. Shurak for starting the conversation here saying, this is the first reading, we'll work through drafts, and we'll get to a place, right? I think we've come a long way in just past 4 to 5 weeks. Pretty close to being friends, I would say, right? But there's still a long way to go. So my name is Girish Ramaswamy from Balakinwood. I have 2 kids. My older one, Anjali, just spoke today. This is Krishna, he's 2 years old. I'm not here to talk today about data or evidence or the lack thereof supporting EdTech. Lack of data on how much time students at LMSD spend on screens, impact of tech on outcomes. Or I'm not going to talk about the harms of screens on children's mental health. All of that has been already discussed, and everybody knows it by now. Here is how I summarize the last 5 weeks of our Pencils Over Pixels movement. 800 opt-out signatures, 500 yard signs, 100 car magnets, 50 to 100 badges, and more of all of this coming soon. 50 plus parent speeches last week, innumerable local and national media articles and social media posts, including one that has already gone over 1 million views. In addition, we've received messages from Virginia, New Jersey, Chicago, California, and today actually from South Korea. I'm not kidding, from South Korea. Why has this topic actually gained so much traction in such a short time? Because all of us and almost every single parent out there can relate to this topic, and they are all going through this right now in their school districts. You, all of you who were voted into this position by all of us, the residents here, to lead this district, now have an opportunity in front of you to make decisions that will impact our future generations. Decisions that could help create the right environment and nurture and shape our students so that they can be prepared to go forth and serve. An opportunity to show the country that is watching LMSD leadership that you all, the leadership and the parents sitting here, can actually work together on meaningful changes. And when I say meaningful changes, tech-free elementary. If there are any still high school students sitting here, read my lips. Tech-free elementary, not tech-free high school. Computer labs for grade 3 and beyond. Clear intentional use of tech in middle schools with clear guidelines on time. These are common sense changes that we can align on right now. Instead of such changes, here is what I see in the new policy. Users may not share illegal or inappropriate content, and violators will lose access and face discipline. When we as adults haven't taken full accountability and responsibility for our actions or inactions, how can we expect a 5-year-old or a 6-year-old to actually have these violations and policies?
Thank you. Time is up.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Seth Ruderman, Villanova. The most enlightening words of the night were spoken by a student. She said, the students see the school-issued devices as their own personal devices. That, to me, is unacceptable. I agree with the student in the same way I agree with many of the issues that the Screen Down, Pencils Up movement are bringing forward to the community. I do believe that the policy is where these issues need to be addressed for all students. We do not need 2 classes of students in LMSD. The policy that we heard was a first read. I encourage you to lean into the editing process. Lean into your social action. I admire what you're doing. Keep it up and make your voices heard. But even in the comments tonight, we can see how unmanageable an opt-out would be. Some talk about eliminating screens, no tech in elementary. Some talk about computer labs. Some talk about devices on carts. I would imagine that if we put everyone here in this room in separate rooms and asked them what they envision they would get with an opt-out, we'd get dozens of different answers. No opt-out solution is going to make the people in this room happy. So we are left with addressing all students. Think about what think about what the opt-out would mean. One parent tonight talked about no use of AI at all, while we had students from our high school talked about which AI model would be best for their learning. If you're opting out, which one are you getting? Are you getting nothing? Are you getting what's best? There's also been absolutely no actual verbalizing of what the opt-out would entail logistically. I have talked with some of you. Some of you envision separate classrooms. Some of you envision 2 tracks in the same classroom. Whenever I ask about logistical and practicality, if 2 kids opt out, I'm met with silence or we can work it out. I too want change. If you told me that the policy for elementary school, which seems to be the focus of 90% of the comments here, is no screens at all, I could live with that. That's a policy for all of our students. I too love analog learning. I too am concerned about the overuse of tech in the classrooms and the appropriate use of tech in schools. I will join you in the fight to craft a policy we can all work with and that works for all of our learners. My fear is that the debate over opting out is distracting us from the real work that needs to be done to craft a policy that works for all of LMSD's learners. Thank you.
Thank you. Rory Balkin, and then we have, let me see, sorry about that, Leith Spear, and then Alexander, sorry, it's really hard to have, Burton maybe? Sorry.
Rory Balkin, a proud parent of a first grader at Gladwin and a 4-year-old who will join her soon enough. So Anna, you had mentioned specific feedback would be helpful as you shape policy XXX. I've read that policy and I want to address it and the associated AR. First, there's no measurable screen time limits. The policy uses brief, limited, and minimal at least 8 times and never defines or quantifies any of them. No definition of balanced use either. No standard to point to and say this was violated. No vendor transparency. The board recently voted to expand the iReady contract, and we still can't read it. Parents who filed right-to-know requests have gotten a range of responses. None of them was the fully executed contract. For starters, is daily iReady use in K through 2 contractually required? Because your own policy says those grades should have minimal, brief, teacher-directed device use. If the contract says otherwise, the contract is running the district's curriculum, not the policy. No accountability for what is actually happening on these devices. You heard students watch movies, engage in cyberbullying, and scroll on social media at school on district-issued Chromebooks. If any of this has been addressed, we would love to know. Which sites are blocked, which apps are approved, why not filter off campus? It doesn't require a new policy to publish these answers, just the transparency you all campaigned on. We want to be partners in this, just please give us something to work with. And perhaps the most disturbing, the policy states the district, quote, shall not be liable for any damages arising from use of its technology resources, meaning when, not if, a vendor breach occurs, parents have no recourse. iReady is already piloting voice recording of children in other districts. That data belongs to a PE-backed company. Parents have no right to opt out or object. Social psychologist Jonathan Haidt reminds us that we let people die for decades before requiring seatbelts. We lost a generation to social media while we debated the research. Our children are next, and EdTech is following the same pattern. The warning signs are already here in our schools. It is not too late. But the burden of proof should be on the board to show that these tools are safe and effective before making them mandatory, not on parents to prove harm after the fact. Last week we heard opting out is not possible and is not a priority of this committee to revisit. This after hearing our stories and documented incidents in your buildings on your devices. So I will ask plainly and respectfully, whose interests are being protected here? Because I can assure you it is not our children's. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Leith Spear Barton. Good evening. Thank you for the opportunity to speak tonight. I live in Bryn Mawr, and I'm an early childhood specialist and a graduate student in social work. I'm also the parent of a first grader and a fifth grader in LMSD schools. First, I want to recognize and thank our teachers. So many of them work incredibly hard every day to support and encourage and educate our children. This is not about individual teachers. It is about district-wide policies and the overall learning environment we are creating for students. Last week, my 5th grader and I spoke not only about opting out of bringing Chromebooks home, but of working with school administration to trial a model where Chromebooks stay in the classroom and are teacher managed, used only for specific instructional activities, and returned to the teacher when the lesson is finished. I'm pleased to share that my son's peers were inspired by this and have opted out of bringing their Chromebooks home too. In fact, I received this message from another middle school mother on my way to this meeting this afternoon. I want to share how happy I am that my child brought actual homework home to do this afternoon, not on a Chromebook. She sent me a picture of the worksheets with underlines and annotations in pencil as well. This approach is workable. It creates clearer boundaries, reduces unnecessary screen exposure, and still fully supports instruction. Over the past several months, I have personally connected with more than 200 district families with children across all ages and grade levels. One consistent message I've heard is that one-to-one device use is a concern at all levels throughout the district. However, many families specifically identify middle school as having some of the highest levels of daily device dependence. Students themselves have estimated that nearly 70% of their school day is now spent on one devices. We are handing children devices that provide constant access to distractions, social pressures, inappropriate content, and addictive platforms at ages when impulse control and critical judgment are still developing. Even with filters and rules in place, we know that students can bypass restrictions using shared documents, copied links, or proxy tools. For many families, this raises real and immediate safety concerns, especially for younger students. This is not anti-technology. Technology absolutely has a place in education, but there is a difference between using technology as a tool and allowing it to dominate the learning environment before children are developmentally ready. As a parent, I'm asking for partnership now. Please delay the vote regarding 134 and 137 until the community can review a meaningful policy change that includes balanced screen time, stronger safeguards, and more handwriting and paper-based learning opportunities, and clearer developmental standards for device use. Continuous improvement requires us to ask hard questions when something no longer aligns with the mission we proudly promote. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is this your Alexander? Yes. Perfect.
Hi, Alexander Barton. I have 2 children in the Lower Merion School District. I came here tonight to echo the concerns that we've been hearing consistently and also perhaps reframe the conversation. So I'd like to formally request that the opt-out still be allowed. I have a son who is in 5th grade, and my wife just echoed the fact that we do think that this is going to produce a better education. I wanted to sort of reframe the conversation. I heard something tonight that really struck me, which was about the capital fund, that there's $3.5 million in it right now. There's about $800,000 that is available. We understand that this is not going to be a simple solution, that this is going to require a structural, I think the exact phrase that I heard was a paradigm shift. And I would love to reframe this conversation against this sort of a moralistic right or wrong, and actually take a look at this as an opportunity, as a paradigm shift, that if we were to work as a coalition with parents and students and teachers, that we could review how the funds are being spent today. And what was spoken earlier was a $3 to $4 million plan, that we might be able to rebalance this and come up with a strategy. But for the interim, that I would like to formally request to continue to have the opt-out. And thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, we have Anjali Girish I'm going to say this wrong. I'm going to go with the last name, Submarinian. And I know, I'm terrible. I'm tired today. And then we have Sarah Moyne.
Girish spoke already, so Subhashini. My name is Subhashini. I'm from Bala Kinwood. thank you all for being here. It takes a village to raise the children to be smart, responsible, and contributing citizens of the world. It's nice to see all of us gathered here, just being invested in them, advocating for them. So I thank you. I have a daughter, 8-year-old. She's sitting right there. She was the one who told you the story about popcorn chicken and the wolves. She's smart, she's motivated, loves to read, scores 100 consistently in math. But she also says math is tough. She also says she is not good at math. So what happened? She finds Dreambox frustrating. She finds the app so hard to follow and so mindless and pointless. And this is no fault of hers. But because she's all of 8 years old and the entire universe in the world revolves around her, she is internalizing this. She's starting to develop a negative relationship with math. As a parent, this is very hard to hear. You use the words balanced, intentional, but what is happening across our schools is neither. In the name of technology stations, our elementary schools have iPads to play games during the library hour of every week. The very space that children learn to read and build lifelong love for books, they're playing video games. The same place where she's learning about trustable adults, that trustable adult is placing an iPad in front of her and saying, hey, this is something that you can trust. While we all know that it doesn't have the degree of protection, it is not safe. So let's think about the message that we're sending children at this age and what they're seeing and what they're listening to. Dr. Sartner, you mentioned the other week something to the effect of, if we're talking about elementary and the necessity of one-to-one devices, we might be on the same page. So let's find those common grounds. Talk to us. I think I've learned more about elementary school in the last 1 month than I expected. And I know it's possible. We're spending about 800 to 900K on 1,400 to 1,500 Chromebooks, and it's not necessary. It's an easy win. We can save that money. So let's take our time to put forward a policy that carries meaning. Don't rush to approve a policy that is not well thought out, because ambiguity and inconsistency is what got us here. So let's take our time. I know you're hearing us. I want you to listen to us also. We are your neighbors, we are your community, so please listen to us and delay the vote. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sarah, is Sarah Moyne here? After Sarah, then we have Adam Washington, and then Roy Arjun, then John Ballas. Hold on 1 second. Sarah, is Sarah here? No. Adam? Here he's coming. Yay, going once.
After I jab, we'll start the clock. All right. I'm Adam Washington. I live in Ardmore. Again, I own Washington Boxing Academy of Ardmore. I keep repeating that not because I'm trying to plug Washington Boxing Academy. It's because I deal with many of probably some of your children. I know most of the parents of the children that I deal with, so I don't know. There's a few. But anyway, I get to see kids on a different plane. I get to use a ladder and watch them use their footwork. And after you do that about 1,000 to 2,000 times, you start to notice some things about the way people tick. And over the years, they start to tick differently, and I wasn't quite sure why. I have a 15-year-old that goes to Lower Merion. He's a freshman. He got a device, which was a cell phone at 13, and if I could turn back the hands of time, I would. We struggle. It's bigger than us. The people that have put those in front of you, some of you don't look up from. If I was a teacher, it would be very bothersome if I'm trying to teach and people aren't paying attention to me because there's a screen in the way, right? Sir, 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 I'm talking to you. It's frustrating. I do it with my kid too. Yeah, because I'm speaking to you and I'm asking for you to listen to me. I have 3 minutes, that's it. So I need your 3 minutes, but that device. And you're more than 15. My son's 15. How is he supposed to look at his teacher if you look good, you're 35, if you can't pay attention when I'm talking? It's frustrating. This is what they're dealing with. This is what the teachers are dealing with. This is what the parents are dealing with. When my son comes home after we've already dealt with all this, and I'm taking a device away, and he's freaking out because I've taken his drug away, and we got to spend another 20 minutes going after each other until I can finally get my son back, and then I send him to school, and we give him a device, it starts all over again. I'm frustrated, I'm tired. I work hard. I was a single parent raising my 4-year-old for a long time, no devices, we had a very good relationship. These things are killing us, they're killing the next generation. Gen Z is behind where, for the first time in 100 years, they're not capable to do some of the things that we have proven that the child is supposed to outdo the parent. That's not happening anymore. Because of these devices, we are dumbing them down. Writing has a cognitive movement to the brain. I remember learning cursive. I remember writing an F. I also remember A, S, D, F, J, K, L, SEM. Let's teach them how to type. Let's not teach them how to learn through the computer. There is a way to do this. These things cost a lot of money. We can replace these with books. I beg of you to let us get our kids back.
Time is up. Thank you.
Is Roy here? Arjun? Roy Arjun? Where are you? I'm sorry.
Was Dina Pack.
Oh.
That's me.
Oh, because of the student.
Yeah, she was a student.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry, I made a mistake. Dina Pack.
Yay! Hi, everybody. I'm Dina Pack. I'm from Bala Cynwyd. I just wanted to say congratulations to all the staff members and teachers that were honored tonight. They're probably not even still here. They're all in bed. Lucky them. But really, the teachers, the teaching staff are the best part of, I think every parent here has echoed that. It's the best part of our district. And 25 years is a whole long time. So I wanted to offer congratulations to them and in their accomplishments. They deserve recognition. The teaching staff is truly the best asset. And I'm going to throw in my script a little bit. I think some of us have really firm memories of the best teacher you ever had. Mine was Mrs. Spolsky in 4th grade. She did this thing where she would teach the Oxford comma, and she'd go 1, 2, 3, a comma, and she'd curtsy, and she sang this song around the room. I am 40 years old, and I can imagine Mrs. Spolsky doing the dance around the room, and I, because of her, know how to use an Oxford comma. I don't think my kids are going to have the same powerful memories from learning the Oxford comma from a screen. I just don't think they are. And all we want is more of that, more teachers. We can have tech time, absolutely. I'm not anti-tech, you guys know that. I'm reiterating what all these parents have said. There is a place and a time for it, but most of the time, the screen can be down. Most of the time, the 4th grade teacher can be dancing around the room to demonstrate the Oxford comma, because those are the things that stick with our kids. And in a tech-based world, the things that our kids need to learn are how to relate to others. They need to learn how to engage. They need to learn how to talk to other people. They need to learn some tolerance of frustration. And the computers remove that opportunity for them. I know that there are teachers like Mrs. Spolsky and Laura Marion. Some of my kids have had them. Mrs. Maria Wells was my favorite teacher. Cynwyd Elementary, she retired. But there are those moments for our kids in LMSD. So if we could restructure the tech policy, and as many of these parents have said, just take time, take a breath, take time, make it the best possible policy, but in the meantime, protect parent right to to say no for their kid. Just put a pause, because this is so important. And I know you know that, and I want to thank you so much for your time. And I hope we can celebrate the Mrs. Spolskys of the year of now, 25 years from now, and they haven't been replaced by screens. Take care.
Okay, I think we have John Bellis, then David Shapiro, Michael Ballin, and then Michael Amini.
Good evening, John Bellis, Wynwood. Last week, the Wait Until 8th organization, which I am not an affiliated member of, believe it or not, sent an email to all its pledge signers where they called out multiple school districts, administrations across the country who are actively promoting Wait Until 8th to the parents in their district. For example, the Beverly Hills Unified School District announced a formal partnership with the parent-led group to promote the Wait Until 8th pledge. They now send a Wait Until 8th flyer to every district family. They mention it at major school events and hold quarterly meetings with elementary and middle school principals. The Fairfax County School Board in Virginia improved a Wait Until 8th resolution at the April 23rd meeting, encouraging parents to hold off on giving their children a smartphone until after 8th grade. And the Scranton School District supported Wait Until 8th by hosting a community panel to encourage families to delay until after 8th grade. So I know there's a fear of telling parents what to do at home, but the Black Rock Middle School counselor's email last week tells you, or 2 weeks ago, that there are real consequences at school from social media in K through 8, even if it's mostly used off campus. I think the previous two speakers ago will agree with that. The bell-to-bell ban is good, but the real solution is to get rid of this stuff 24 hours a day. The real solution also starts with prevention, especially in the elementary school, because it's much easier to delay the social media than it is to take it away once it's got hold on your child. Getting to a critical mass of delayers is the key. It's much easier for parents to say no if their child is not the only one without Snapchat. Now, I don't know if this belongs in your policy, but I know that you can help squash this problem by helping us simply spread awareness that other parents are signing this pledge. No one will complain about a non-judgmental email or announcement from the superintendent or the principals twice a year. To the contrary, it will be seen as a positive step. I would even say it would be seen as a responsibility, as your responsibility to the community. Every parent in Lower Merion School District will thank you if you help them squash this problem so they don't have to do battle every day at home with their middle schoolers. Thank you.
Hi, thanks everyone. My name's David Shapiro. I live in Wynwood. I have kids in Penwyn Elementary and Black Rock. I want to start. At the policy meeting, I mentioned that I'm descended from educators. What I didn't say is that I also have taught, not in grade school, but in law school. And I taught in a hybrid program. There were some students in the classroom, there were some students online. And there was a direct correlation in performance. The kids who were in the classroom taking notes with pen and paper. And I will just note also that this was blind grading when I graded the exam, so I had no idea who was who. But there was a shocking correlation. The ones who were taking notes, pen and paper, incidentally also the ones who asked the most questions. Next here, the ones who were taking notes on computer in class. And the lowest performers consistently were the ones who were solely online. Now, there are obviously outliers within that, but I think it should tell us something. These are law students. These are people who've already gotten their law degrees and taking graduate legal programs. And they are getting sucked into the device vortex and getting distracted and not learning as effectively. At that level, and at the level where you expect that cognitive development is fully there and people have healthy relationships potentially with their devices. That's not, we're asking our young kids to have that same kind of, to be on the devices and still learn the same way. I just don't think that's possible. And the other thing I just wanted to touch on, there's been discussion of AI through this. Now, as a lawyer, we're all thinking, oh, AI is coming for our jobs. Interesting note, the people who are best able to work with AI are the senior people who've learned how to think away from AI, who developed all of the skills, studied, know how to prompt, not because they've grown up with AI, but because they grew up thinking, well, what are the issues? What are the things that we need to watch out for? And I don't think you learn that from AI, you learn that before AI. So I just wanted to make those points. Again, I ask you to think long and hard and carefully, because the best way, you've heard it before, the best way to prepare for the digital future is an analog present. Thank you.
Thank you.
Michael Balin, then Michael Amini, Elizabeth, I think it's Lauret, and then Teresa Doggett.
Hello. My name is Michael Balkin. I graduated from the Ford School of Public Policy at the University of Michigan. Go Blue. Then I became an ER doctor, husband, and dad. Our daughter is a first grader at Gladwin. I plead with the board to make this new tech use policy in the right way, and I have some recommendations that I hope you'll consider. First, do not be afraid to admit that mistakes have been made in the past. Not only is it a show of good faith, but it alludes to the willingness to reconsider your own assumptions in the face of evolving evidence. In this instance, it has become clearer with each passing day that screens and technology overuse are having adverse impacts on our children's health. Therefore, it may be necessary to let existing EdTech contracts expire without renewal or terminate them entirely. Secondly, it is prudent to keep safe harbors in place when new policies are introduced. In this case, the safe harbor is the opt-out clause of one-to-one device usage. This safe harbor should be allowed to stand indefinitely before the new policy is fully reviewed and assessed for inadequacies. New policies need time to deliver results. Ideally, they should then be reviewed by the board and receive community input. I request you preserve the ability to opt out while your new policy proves its worth. Thirdly, make sure the new policy is as concrete as possible before it becomes the law of the land. I hope the new and final policy will have been created through a data-driven process with unambiguous benchmarks and cogent directives. As a self-proclaimed policy nerd, it is maddening to watch the basic tenets and norms of policymaking be thrown aside with such little available data on district-wide metrics and approved website lists. Has the board even performed a comprehensive review of the impact of screen use on our children's developing minds? Or are you relying on the assurances from the EdTech companies themselves? Lastly, tonight I want to highlight the heroes in our schools. I could not be prouder of the teachers, principals, and other staff in our district. Screens down, pencils up.
Thank you.
Michael Amini, then Elizabeth, then Teresa.
Hi, can you hear me? My name's Elizabeth Lovett. I'm a mom in the district. I'm also an architect, and I teach college students at Penn. The course that I teach, which is geared at college juniors, is building information modeling, and we do computer coding to script topologically similar surfaces for negative Gaussian curvature. It's a good class, it's fun. I say that to emphasize that I am a computer nerd. My husband, I met, is a computer nerd. I met him at Harvard. We studied under Frank Gehry's chief of technology, who went on to study at Gehry Technologies. We did facade engineering, We got married. We have an entire house full of GPUs to the point where we don't turn our heat on until December. We plan on raising 2 absolute high-performing computer nerds that will go on to advanced technology. That being said, I teach computer technology. What those apps are doing, they do not teach computer technology. iReady, Dreambox, this is the junk food of curriculums. I mean, I've seen it. I watch my kids sit there and push little buttons and get the like, yay, and wait for the cartoon to end. It is such a waste of time, and it's a waste of our teachers. It's commonly understood now that children of our time have shorter attention spans. And we talk about this even at Penn, because now we're on the receiving end of 10 years of this kind of curriculum going through American schools. And these are students that graduate at the top of their high school programs if they've entered Penn and gotten to their junior year without being derailed in some way. And there's this emphasis on segmenting the lessons and teaching in shorter, more stimulating segments. And I just have to say, are we treating the symptoms with the cause? And I think all over America, we're going to see that we are going to be pulling technology, these one-to-one devices, out of schools the same way we took lead out of gas. And so Lower Merion has the opportunity to lead this. It's going to happen regardless. You know, I've got a middle school nephew buying vinyl records. We are definitely going back to books. So Dr. Ranelli, this is your chance to lead this. You could be a national leader in a movement that is definitely going to happen anyway. And then Lower Merion can go back to being one of the crown jewels of public education in America. I mean, this is a district we are proud to be a part of, and we are proud to be a part of the conversation. But this is definitely going to happen. The ed techs coming out will just be the last people to do it, or will be the first people to do it. And once we do it, private kids will be coming here, because this will be the premium education experience.
Thanks, your time is
Teachers
up.
teaching.
Thanks.
Teresa Doggett, then David Smythe.
Good evening. My name is Teresa Doggett, and I live in Marion Station. I have a 2nd grader at Marion Elementary and a 5th and 8th grader at Bala-Cynwyd Middle School. This year, I became increasingly concerned about device usage in the district after seeing my 5th grader become distracted and began missing assignments on through her school-issued device. Around the same time, I received Dr. Ranelli's email inviting the community to the March 23rd meeting about technology use in our schools, and I appreciated the opportunity for parents to engage in that conversation. What became clear to me very quickly is that one of the biggest problems is the lack of consistency across classrooms, grade levels, and schools. Expectations for when devices should be used, how they should be supervised, and what appropriate classroom use actually looks like vary significantly depending on the teacher or the school. That inconsistency creates confusion for students, frustration for parents, and uneven implementation across the district. I believe, though, that much of that stems from the fact that our current policies, Policy 137 and Policy 134, simply do not provide enough meaningful guidance. In the absence of clear district-wide standards, ambiguity and individual discretion is filling the gap. And while flexibility is important, the current level of inconsistency is not serving students well. I want to acknowledge and thank the district for moving quickly since the March 23rd meeting. In less than 2 months, I've seen implementing practical changes and even the introduction of the first read of the draft policy at last week's policy meeting aimed at addressing many of these concerns. That responsiveness matters, and I appreciate it. Thank you. At the same time, I think it is important that we do not lose sight of the larger opportunity in front of us. I hear many of the community members advocating for keeping Policy 137, but respectfully, I do not believe this results in the sufficient solution we're looking for. This moment is bigger than individual preferences. Schools across the country are grappling with the role of technology in education right now. The challenge is not choosing between unrestricted device use and eliminating technology altogether. The challenge is finding the balance, using technology intentionally to enhance instruction, support engagement, and differentiate learning, while also creating clearer boundaries that protect attention, accountability, and student well-being. If we truly believe the current system is not working, and I don't think anybody here would disagree with that, then we should seize this opportunity to work together to create a stronger, clearer, and more consistent policy that benefits all students across the district. I thank the policy committee, the board, and the district staff for your commitment to drafting this new policy now, so there is time to develop the administrative regulations that will be needed to guide our teachers and school leaders in advance of next school year. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm David Smythe, Marion Station. Right now is a time that public education is having its most difficult time, and who knows how long, 100 years or more. We have the Department of Education is being undermined, and once our educational system is trying to be handed over to privatization and billionaires. We've come out of COVID. We have kids dealing with challenges of being on screens and social media. Now we have AI. We have lower birth rates that are causing many school districts to constrict and colleges to shut down. Now that last one does not apply to Lower Merion because people buy in here. People like myself and my wife, we bought here a year ago, and one of the primary considerations was to have the IB program of Harriton. And our faith was frankly renewed. I really enjoyed hearing the Harriton students. They were amazing. Their critical thinking and their articulation shone through. Critical thinking does not start when the IB program starts. One of the students mentioned that they need devices for their work. Nobody doubts that. It's about curriculum being taught on the one-to-one devices. We understand computers are a reality for writing and research and everything else. Nobody doubts that. Famously, Steve Jobs would not let his kid have an iPad. I thought of that because of one of the other speakers talking about when EdTech was new and the app creator that she met. Would Steve Jobs have let his kid learn curriculum on a Chromebook? Everyone up here at this table with 100% confidence knows the answer to that question. To throw another curveball, do teachers have the ability to opt out of the curriculum, the EdTech curriculum, and teach analog with analog? So can that be in the policy as well? And then also, will the policy spell out for the inevitable when someone, regardless of whether you allow it or not, does opt out? Is that also spelled out in the policy as well? And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's it for the in-person, but I think we have online.
Okay, Ms. Brooks, can you please share? Oh. One more? Denise, one more? Okay, you get to bring us home. Thank you. No, two more, or just one? Okay, two more. You get to bring us home.
Shinupozi Bala Kinwood. My son goes to Kinwood Elementary. I was not ready to come here and talk tonight. I was already in my PJs, ready to attend the meeting through the Zoom, because my son was very excited to make his next project for the school. It is a store made from a shoebox to teach them real life plus and minus by selling their trinkets, by cleaning their drawers. This is the most exciting time for him. I've never seen him excited with Dreambox or the Raz Kids. I was ready to post my comment and saw that the chat functionality had been disabled today. So I think board itself likes one-on-one discussion over chat. Was it because it is noise and distraction for you guys? So here I share my thoughts in person. For months now, we have been hearing parents raise concern about our children's safety. No one is claiming to be anti-tech, but research consistently shows that excessive technology use can harm developing brains and is becoming a problem in its own. We have seen this pattern before. Opioids were once promoted as harmless painkillers. And what began as a subtle marketing by pharmaceutical companies escalated into aggressive pressure on healthcare providers, driving widespread overprescription. As a patient, I can refuse opioid even after surgery, and I have. It is in my chart, no opioids. But I cannot refuse one-on-one device for my child. Are we waiting for next epidemic to happen, or are we waiting for the CDC to come and declare that this is an epidemic? This is the same CDC which this year has permitted fruit flavor vapes and tanning beds for the minors. Do we trust in this CDC? Let's not go political. Let's go for a preventive care approach than the curative approach. I hope my effort of dragging my child over here while he was working out on his project will not go wasted. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Good evening, Michael Amini. I am from Bala-Cynwyd. I am a parent of 4 within the district. I want to say thank you to everybody in this room and everybody listening for welcoming us. We moved here a year ago from across the country, and I want to say I've been very pleasantly, warmly welcomed by everybody in the community and by the school, as have my children. And so I come here with utmost graciousness and thank you for that. Also, a big note is that we chose to live in this area largely because of the respect and the reputation of Lower Merion schools. So we moved from 2,500 miles away and narrowed down our search largely because of that, almost exclusively because of that. So with that, I want to come to you really about one specific part of this matter that I want to really harp down on. We have chosen to raise our kids without devices that they have of their own. We did a lot of research on this matter and thought that was the best for their mental health, their education, their connection with each other, their connection with us. And so we've maintained that boundary and limited their access to devices. And having the devices given to the children has dismantled our choice that we've made for our children. Now we're seeing the same behaviors that we're hearing from all these other parents. We're seeing that in our children for the first time. Addictive behaviors, using it for non-school related activities, things that we had chosen not to do. And when we brought these issues up to the school, to the teachers, we were told to have a discussion with our child about digital citizenship. With all due respect, we had those discussions and we're still having these problems, right? That's why we didn't want to go down that path. And so we can control that at home. We can't control that within the school. And so even with potential safeguards that are in place, the children are far outpacing our IT ability to safeguard them from dangerous online content, from other things that they clearly have the ability to bypass. And so far, it's not been working. So with that, I really want to say, please take the time and really considering what you do with this matter moving forward.
Thank you. Do we have any more in-person comments? It's okay. Ms. Brooks, can you please read and share the online comments?
Yeah. Jessica Cohen, Marion Station. The policy draft states, the district reserves the right to discipline any student for intentionally accessing or possessing inappropriate, illegal, or otherwise prohibited or unauthorized material from whatever source obtained. What will the discipline be? I listened to a parent make public comment that his child had their Chromebook removed for misuse. I have had a teacher in the past tell me that removing the Chromebook was an option for misuse. When the school takes the Chromebook for misuse, how is the school able to provide the curriculum to that child while she doesn't have a Chromebook? And that's the only public comment.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Ms. Brooks. At this time, we will move forward with tonight's agenda. There are 2 items being pulled from the consent agenda. Sorry if this seems to be a little feedback. I apologize for that. Item number 1 that will be pulled is item 9C, Student Services Action Item. And this is the approval of the attached score agreement for college and career readiness, grades 9 through 12, in the amount of $16,160. Is there a motion to approve? So moved. Sorry, Robert's Rules of Orders are awkward, so there's always one or two of us that get confused about this process. So don't worry, there's going to be discussion. Do I have it a second?
Second.
Great. Now, once we get to approve and to a second, then is when, in Robert's Rules of Order, we do a discussion. So, are there any board members that would like to have a discussion on this? Abby?
Hi, thank you. Excuse me. I'm using my computer because I wasn't able to write all of my thoughts out. I'm not so good yet. It's been a long time. I had asked to pull this agenda item because I had voted no back in March when it was presented on the curriculum at the curriculum committee, and I continue to hold the position. And I've been asked why I voted no, and I'd like to kind of give that information now. I don't see that this contract is going to have a much different or more meaningful impact than Naviance, which is what we currently use. Excuse me. Also, the fact that this is intended to have sort of a social media feel, where students are given the opportunity to express likes for their college applications and college admissions, and I think that sort of goes counter to what we're hoping to do with our digital balance that we continue to talk about wanting to foster. And additionally, as far as I understand, the way that this works is that colleges have to pay for promotion, which limits what options our students have. So currently Naviance has basically access to all the colleges that are out there. This SCORE program or product is a kind of a pay for play. So if a college doesn't pay to be promoted, then our students don't have that access. So it sort of limits our students based on the marketing budgets of the colleges as opposed to the expert guidance of our counselors. So I also wanted to clarify, this contract did not make it through committee and curriculum in March. It was not on the March business agenda, it was not on the April curriculum or business agenda, and it showed up on the May facilities agenda. It also did not make it through facilities, and it's here. And I'm sort of presenting this as, you know, if the board committees don't vote to advance something and it gets through and it continues to come up, I'd like some clarity on how.
Okay, let me give you clarity on how the board works, and this is pretty 101. So objects that go to the board first start in committee, and it's very important for the entire board to have an open and public discussion in committee. And many of you have been in our committee meetings, and that's the best time to do it. That's the work of the board. I say that over and over again. That's when we can talk to each other. And so it is very important for board members not just to say no to a vote, but to express their questions, concerns, and share why they might be voting no at those moments. Not just for each other and not just for the community, but also for the administration, so they can go back and do their homework, do more work, do research, and come back again. But just because an item isn't moved through committee with enough votes does not mean it doesn't continue to move forward. It just will not be in a level of the board to be in consent agenda. That is it. Now, items can go through one committee. We like them to go through two committees because it just feels better, like a little bit of checks and balances. And this item did go through two committees. It went through curriculum and it did go through facilities. I know Jason Herman was not able to view the curriculum committee video to be able to comfortably vote on it, but it, in both committees, had two members of it. Now, Kimberly Frazier, do you mind if I ask you just a couple clarifying questions? Because I heard a couple things from board member Rubin there that were not exactly what I heard the staff present in the curriculum meeting. And I'd love for you to clarify some of the kind of the process and the terms and why the school district put SCORE in front of the school district to be a vote.
Yeah, thank you. There were several different reasons why this is being recommended. First of all, we talk a lot about finances right now. It is a reduced cost to the district over time. It'll be about 50% of the cost of Naviance. performing the same function in terms of college and career readiness. The district is required from the Pennsylvania Department of Education to K through 12 do college and career readiness activities. SCORES serves the same purpose as what Naviance has in the past. The experience with Naviance, unfortunately, has been that it is a little bit antiquated, and there is an aspect to it of what students find engaging, what students are familiar with. But in addition to that, there are functionalities to this in terms of parent engagement with the system, in terms of educator and counselor engagement with the system that make it a more streamlined process. For any families who have gone through the college application process, it can be quite overwhelming and hard. I see heads shaking. It can be quite overwhelming. And so to be able to find a system that not only engages our students, but also supports what our families and our counselors need, I think is critically important. We also talk a lot about data privacy. For those also that have seen, Naviance had some concerns with data leakage, whereas SCORE has made a public commitment to not selling student data. And so those are important components that we have to consider as we're looking through that. Another important piece that we're looking at is alignment. Again, we're under the direction of the Pennsylvania Department of Education, and really making sure that what we're doing is aligning with those career and college standards.
One last thing, Abby, you had asked about the pay to play. If a college doesn't pay, then they don't have access to our kids. Well, that wasn't what we understood at the meeting, and I watched the meeting a couple of times. Dr. Graziosi-Hips really spoke about that. If the college doesn't pay for SCORE, or to be on SCORE, there is not a direct application that you could file as a student who wanted to apply there, but they still take the Common App and they still show up on SCORE. They just don't have that facility to be able to just apply without the Common App through that.
I appreciate the clarifications, and thank you. And respectfully, I would like
just one thing. Sorry. Let's do the around the table, like our role is everybody gets to talk once before somebody talks twice. I wasn't sure if either of the co-chairs, Jen or Shayna, wanted to chime in since this was on your committee.
Yes, so I was there with the rest of the curriculum committee and frankly thought that the presentation was incredibly thorough, incredibly detailed, and incredibly convincing. I saw no problem with this and was frankly not only surprised, I was pretty upset that you decided to vote no with absolutely no explanation right at the end of it for a program that was serving the needs of our district, was incredibly well researched and proposed by our administrators whose job and whose expertise it is to do this particular thing. And I also wanted to add that I believe Dr. Graziosi-Hips said that about 80% of school districts in this state have either moved or are currently moving to SCORE because it is aligned with the Pennsylvania state standards in a way that Naviance isn't, and that Dr. Anelli has previous experience making that transition with his district in his previous district. It seems like a really high quality product that does the same thing as Naviance, but better, more successfully, giving more of a look and involvement to our parents. We just sat here for hours listening to our families talk about how they want more access and more insight into what their kids are doing, and this has a much greater parent interaction level and oversight level on what's going on here. It saves our district money every year. We need every dollar. And also, Naviance is part of a class action lawsuit right now, and so I am very eager to not continue to support them. I would urge the rest of the board to vote in favor of this contract.
Thank you, Shana. I'm co-chair on curriculum with Shana, and I just want to echo, but for the sake of time, one, very concerning is that Naviance, we have heard from parents today, concerned with data privacy. Naviance is, like Shana says, going through a class action lawsuit. But more importantly, I've been able to talk to a number of parents in the school district. It's beyond helping a child with college and everything. It truly connects students, parents, and counselors on one platform where parents could follow up, communicate with their child's counselor, see their student's performance, and be able to support their child throughout the school. But also when you think about equity, we live in a privileged school district, but not everyone has access to the same resources, could afford for parents to take off of work to take them on college tours. This gives all of our students an opportunity to have access to resources, be on a platform where they could learn about colleges, apply, scholarships. So we have to also think of beyond that. Not all children in the school district are afforded the opportunities like other kids. So this platform is not only bringing families together across the district where parents can be more involved with their child's education, especially in higher grade level, but also to provide opportunity for students' growth and opportunities beyond the walls of Lower Merion High School when they graduate.
Thank you. Anybody that has not spoken on the board yet? Go ahead, Sarah.
It's a long table. Can't see everybody. I'm also a member of the curriculum committee who, like Abby, did not vote to move this contract forward at our March curriculum committee meeting and was asked to provide my reasoning and would like to do so as well. Based on the presentation at the March curriculum committee meeting, my professional knowledge of Naviance as a school counselor, and independent research I've conducted on SCORE, I'm not convinced SCORE represents a meaningful improvement over Naviance. It seems to provide the dopamine hits that were spoken about regarding technology through the use of social media type likes for colleges. With regard to the data breach concerns with Naviance, there was a major data breach with PowerSchool over a year ago, yet we still use this platform for our student information system. Curriculum Associates, the parent company of iReady, is currently the subject of a class action lawsuit, yet this board also recently approved this contract. I also have concerns with SCORE's business model. The platform offers colleges the option to outsource their presence to SCORE's client services team. Additionally, not all colleges on SCORE have equal access to students. Access is dependent on what level plan they purchase, rather than fit or merit, meaning our students are being meaningfully affected by a college's marketing budget. Our obligation is to always put our students' and families' needs first and foremost. I do not believe this change does that. For these reasons, I voted not to move this contract forward at the March curriculum meeting, and I plan to maintain my no vote on this contract tonight. Thank you.
I heard both Sarah, you, and Abby say that you were asked to provide reasoning, and I'm just not clear who asked you to provide those reasoning and why you continue to not use the structure of the committee meetings to productively work on the work of the committee and represent the board, particularly saying things like, I will reveal my no vote in the whole group board meeting and things like that. It derails the progress of the district by continuing to propagate your own personal agenda as well, needing to move the work of the board forward. So my concrete question is, who asked you to share tonight, because you didn't share in the 2 other times provided and in the general board meeting that was in between that we also discussed this contract. So 3 times now, so it seems like grandstanding.
Do you want to go?
Sure, I'm happy to respond, Anna. So I was asked by the curriculum committee co-chairs to explain our reasoning. The meeting was cut short. We were running close to time because we had a policy meeting after it, and we were asked to provide our explanation when this was brought up at the next meeting. This is the first meeting that this contract was brought up at since the March curriculum committee meeting.
I just want to be clear, I did not ask for that, but thank you.
Neither did I. We took this vote, the meeting ended, and we left. We didn't have a conversation after that.
Ms. Kalish, you did ask us, actually. Yeah. The meeting was ended very abruptly, and you did, and I wanted to provide that information, and it did not come up on an agenda until facilities
However,
meeting.
6 weeks later, you were in a
But this
facilities
is the first time
meeting.
it's up for a discussion.
Oh, no. 6 weeks later, you were in a facilities meeting where this same agenda item came up.
And I was there.
And both Jennifer and Shayna were there, which you could have revealed your concern. 6 weeks later, which would have been quite helpful to board member Herman, who shared with everyone that he was unable to witness the curriculum meeting. because of the video restriction. So all of this, again, would have been so unbelievably helpful to our school district team, which is the role and the responsibility of the board to ask questions, to share information, and to do your homework before the community meetings and before the committee meetings, to come prepared, to ask questions, to be able to engage in a lively conversation, not in a business meeting, but in the work of the board. That is an ethical guideline of the PSBA standards that every single one of the board members that you are sitting in front of us swear an oath to do the work of the committee in members of four, not in other committees, but the committees you are assigned to, and to stay in that committee and do the work with your peers. That is the work of the board, not what you are seeing tonight. This is going, any more discussion, and then we're going to vote.
Respectfully, I'd like to respond to that. I'm not revealing anything. I was not keeping anything close to my chest. This is the first opportunity that we've had as a board to have this conversation. When it was in front of us in facilities, it was unexpected because it hadn't made it through curriculum. I didn't expect to see it there. I stated we would talk about it when it was up for a vote here because it didn't make it through in facilities. I'm not keeping anything secret. I felt it was a little bit strange that it went through without having the votes of the committee. And it begs the question what the votes of the board have. What value and what meaning do we have if our votes aren't being considered? So that's the only reason. You had asked for our justification. The meetings are very, very fast on Mondays because it's back to back. That's why.
Any other discussion?
I will say, just to reiterate, that when we vote in committee, it is not to approve or disapprove. It is to have the recommendation of the committee. So even if you have something that had 4 no votes from a committee, you could still see it on the business meeting. There may be further discussion on it, but that is the way this works and always works. And also, if we're discussing something at a meeting, it's on the agenda. If you're chairing a committee, you should know what's on the agenda before you go to the meeting.
And just to be clear,
there's no state law that says we have to have any committee for anything. And if we don't have to have the committee, we certainly don't have to have any votes on it. It's purely up to the discretion of the board president and internally how we want to make it work. We've broken it up this way to facilitate effective discussions, but there's no laws about this. Look, kids need this program to apply to college. You can apply to every single college in the country on SCORE. It's effective. The counselors can actually track which groups of kids are where in the process. They can see if there's groups that are falling behind and they can target them. It's an effective program. It's used all over the place. My brother uses it at his school in Connecticut. They moved to it years ago. There's no reason to block this. We're going to move this forward tonight. Let's go ahead and take a vote.
okay, let's do it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
Nay. Opposed.
Abstentions? Motion passes. Thank you. Now, the following item 14B, new business, has been pulled for discussion. This is the first reading. First readings do not get voted on by the board. So this is the policies for first readings. The policy is PXXX K-12 technology use, the new policy that we discussed in the policy meeting last Monday. P134 district provided technology resources for repeal. P137 district issues electronic devices, student use, rights and responsibilities for repeal. I'm opening this item for discussion at this time. There is no voting, so we can go straight to discussion. So who would like to begin the discussion? Abby, go right ahead.
Okay, thank you. I had just wanted to pull this to encourage that we do, in fact, pause. In the past, when I've been on the policy committee, we have sat in first read multiple meetings, and I felt that this one, as so many have said, much more eloquently than I will at this point in the night, there's no need to push this through to a second read. I think that we are still very much in the first draft stage, and as you had asked for some concrete feedback and concrete ideas, I think many people in this room have already provided. And I think we just need more input before we move forward. So I just wanted to pull that as a discussion.
Next.
I will just say, Abby, respectfully, again, while you are making these statements publicly, you personally have provided zero written feedback on it in writing of what you would suggest. I don't want to do a back and forth, but even sitting on the policy committee, I would expect that you would know that first read, second read, those go on, and things, that's a process of governance, which it seems unclear that you are understanding all of those pieces in your continued tenure on the board.
Respectfully, I hear you. I don't have any question. I don't have any unclarity. I understand how the process works. I am not on the policy committee. I've been asked not to come to meetings that I'm not on the committee for. And so this is an opportunity for me to share my feedback. I am doing that here. That's why we were elected as representatives of our community. I'm having a conversation here.
Would anybody else like to pose a comment or a question on this discussion? Go ahead, Sarah.
I just have a question as someone who's not a member of the policy committee and have not been a member of the policy committee, but tune into the policy meetings. And it does seem that in the past, there are policies that have stayed in first read for quite a few policy meetings before they move to second read. And I'm just wondering if someone from the committee, maybe one of the co-chairs, could explain the decision to not keep these policies in first read for longer and moving them through first read tonight with the intention, I guess, to move towards second read for the next month's policy meeting, if that could be explained a bit.
Happy to explain it, Sarah. To do work on policy, you have to move past the first read to a second read. So to incorporate the feedback of the community that's been being shared since the fall, that was shared in the March 23rd meeting, and also to codify the changes that the community is asking, moving the policy forward actually ensures that we are able to incorporate the feedback that we have been hearing from others. And so there is this language you're using that policies have sat in first read and not moved to second read. I'll be happy to have you spend your time and audit which policies that are, because it makes no material difference of where it's sitting in first or second read if we're committed to collaborating and working on it.
Any other discussions? Nope. This is a discussion of the board, sorry. We're in vote mode now. Doesn't work that way, sorry. Business board meetings are mostly for voting. Okay. We do not have to vote on this because it is not a voting agenda item for the board. It was just open for discussion for the board. Just a little clarifying comments that every board meeting, every board member is always encouraged to watch every single committee meeting and share with the board president, with the board vice president, and the committee co-chairs any questions, any concerns, and our superintendent, and any feedback they have about what's going on that committee. It is a transparent and open process. But we also, because of just having, I think, 6 weeks ago we had PSBA training. Dr. Rinelli, is that about right? 6 or 7 weeks ago, we just got a training from the intermediate unit, the same intermediate unit that has done so many of our trainings and so our work around our strategic plan and a lot of our work around finding Dr. Rinelli. Just did an intensive training and shared with us yet again the importance of the board working in teams of 4 on committee, and that what that really works like. And just like we've talked about before in these meetings, it works really well in every situation. In business, in school, teamwork really matters. So let's get this finalized so you can all go home and so can we. Is there a motion to, is there a motion to approve all the items listed on tonight's agenda via consent?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
I have something I'd like to say. Excuse me.
Is this discussion, and Amy, I might need your help here, is this discussion on an item on the consent agenda?
No.
Then this is not the appropriate time for this.
When will new business be? I'd like to raise a question.
That can happen after the board meeting, and when...
No, I'd like to ask a question here.
No, this is not the appropriate time. Absolutely not the appropriate time. We're following rules of
I have some
Robert rules of
concerns.
order.
I have some concerns
Right now-
about what was said.
And I am moving forward.
This is the opportunity to vote on the consent agenda.
Yeah,
Will there
and
be a
then-
new business portion of this evening? I'd like to raise a question. I have some concerns
This
about
is
what
not
was
the
said
And
then
in the
following-
executive session and
Let's
how we were
following
not.
the meeting,
Abby
you can
Nation
bring
of
up
Sunshine on
new
March 16th. I have
business.
some concerns about what was discussed on March 16th.
Okay, let's do this now. Let's finish this section. Then we will go to our legal team to ask a question on that. So, all in favor? Say that again.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Abstentions? Motion passes. Okay.
I just also want to add, we have a person here that's got a non-agenda, a public comment that's been waiting
Thank you very much.
as
And
well. So just, I don't know when that discussion is going to
We're
happen.
going to save, if Abby has, if Board Member Rubin has brought up something on the Sunshine Act, let's save it to address it after we do the final non-agenda audience recognition. You have been extremely patient for multiple board meetings. Thank you so much. And let's remember, we center ourselves not around each other, but around our community. So audience recognition, non-agenda items, please, I would love to hear, just come up to the podium. You have 3 minutes. Please, your name, general area where you live in the community.
Hello, I'm Janice Ferguson. I live in Kenwood. I'm a black parent who is standing here tonight because I believe I have experienced a troubling pattern of exclusion, retaliation, unequal treatment, and discrimination connected to the leadership environment fostered by the principal at Belmont Hills Elementary School. Instead of being welcomed and supported the way other parents appear to be, I often felt blocked and excluded, dismissed and isolated. Over time, the pattern became impossible to ignore. Eventually, because no one else wanted the position, I became co-president of HSA. I believe this would finally allow me to contribute equally and positively to the school community. Instead, the treatment intensified once I began asking questions about bylaws, governance, oversight, finances, and transparency. This included raising concerns about questionable financial transactions involving over $4,000 of HSA funds being sent to a teacher's personal Venmo account, with over $60,000 currently in the HSA bank accounts. I believe parents deserve transparency, accountability, and oversight regarding how their donations are being handled. Rather than serving as a neutral administrator focused on fairness and inclusion, I witnessed what appeared to be favoritism, selective involvement, and unequal treatment after I began raising concerns. I believe the admin used their position to influence in ways that escalated tensions rather than resolving them fairly. And I want to be clear, tonight, this was not simply HSA drama, not personality conflict. This was a repeated pattern that deeply affected me as a black woman in a predominantly white school environment. The most painful part is that the people who should have ensured fairness and inclusion are the same people I believe contributed to the harm. I'm speaking tonight because no black parent should experience discrimination in a school environment and then be left questioning how their child may be treated. I come to the school community wanting to help, volunteer, and support my child. Instead, I walk away emotionally exhausted, unsupported, and deeply disturbed by what I experienced. Tonight, I am asking the board to take these concerns seriously. I'm asking for accountability, I'm asking for transparency, and I'm asking the district to honestly reflect on how black parents and parents who challenge unfair systems are treated within the community. Because inclusion cannot be a slogan.
Your time is up. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. I'm asking for a 3-minute recess to speak with legal. Okay. Final piece is the Sunshine Act. Ms. Brooks will now make an announcement required by the Pennsylvania Sunshine Act.
In accordance with Act 93 of 1998, the Sunshine Law, the Board of School Directors met for an information executive session on May 18th, 2026, for information, for legal regarding ADA accessibility, and for trademark litigation.
Next meeting, June 15th, the regular business board meeting committee is the next meeting. The committee meetings will be held in the boardroom via webinar, live stream, unless noted otherwise. June 8th policy meeting is at 6 p.m. June 11th, facilities and purchasing meeting at 9 a.m. via Zoom. And we are adjourned. Being there is no further business, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.